Well, 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 a very good morning to you, Grenada, and the rest of the world. On this, the third day of November, yes sirree, into a brand new month, the first edition of SWGG in November. And you know, I gotta be honest with you, I really wouldn't, oh my gosh, I was just about to say, I do expect you guys to start popping up a little bit late this morning, because for those of you in North America, the clocks were turned back at 1 o'clock this morning. So you're now an hour behind us. So don't be too surprised if you see the folks sauntering in a little bit late. Well, I'll tell you, I could be very, very wrong, because I see that this morning the winner is Kathleen Thomas. Hello there, Kathleen. If I'm not mistaken, it's your first time the winner. Congratulations. Rachel John is saying a blessed Sunday to everybody. Ernesto Jose is there. You're kind of early, Ernesto. And Abraham Joseph is also saying good morning to all his friends on this platform. Well, folks, so nice to see you. It's so-so morning, not bad at all, but up until about 5 minutes ago, we were having some light showers here in St. George, but I took a look at the satellite picture, and there seems to be no big deal out there. So this might be, you know, what we used to refer to in the old days as a passing cloud. Yeah, maybe. And so the guys continue to log in. You guys are good. Thank you. How loyal. Huh? Early. Abraham Joseph is saying, good morning. Hold on. Where are we now? Yeah, Abraham's saying good morning. Arthur Langine is saying he's looking forward to a good show. We're going to do our best, my dear friend. We are going to try. We keep on trying. We keep on trying. Dennis Perkins is saying good morning. He says it's a bit dull here in London, but it has stopped raining. Our clocks went back last week. Ah, so last week you, this week the Yanks, the Americans are back this week. And as I mentioned, Dennis, we're having some light showers down here, but no big deal. Erica Mitchell is saying, have a great start to the week. Thank you, my friend. I certainly do hope it's going to be a great week. I do expect that it will be a great week. Arthur Langine says, yes, you are wrong. Yeah, okay. You know, I'm always one to admit when I am. And I'm admitting that I'm wrong this morning, thinking you guys would be late. He says he's hearing an echo. Rachel John is saying she's hearing an echo. Where is that echo coming from, young lady? I don't know, but I don't hear an echo here. Everything seems fine. If anybody else is having that issue, please let me know. Nutris Williams, if I'm not mistaken. A new name here. Hello, Nutris. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Ernesto says, Gigi, I'm losing my hour's sleep to be on the program. Well, oh, thank you so much. I feel honored. Nice to have you. Bernard Gilbert saying good morning. And Sean out there in the Azores. Sean, keep an eye on the weather. It looks like things are starting to simmer down, and actually the end of November will be the official, and I stress, official end of the hurricane season. That doesn't mean that nothing's going to rear its heels again, but we'll wait and see. Isaac is saying here, it's raining here with winds. We don't have any up here, Isaac, but yeah, we are having some light rain. Bob Marichaux is saying, good morning, class. I know I'm late. Please do not put me under detention. Well, Bob, again, perhaps I could be wrong, but I don't ever remember seeing you this early. Good to see you anyway. Thank you very much for joining us. Kipling Francis is sending God's blessings, and Grenada Sunshine is saying good morning to you guys. Hi, Lincoln Roberts. Hello there, Linky. Linky saying good day, everyone. It's an hour earlier today. Much love always. Well, it's the same time here. Right now, it's 5 minutes after 9 o'clock, okay? But yeah, for you guys, early. And again, I'm saying how honored I am that you guys, you know, gave up an hour's sleep just to be with us this morning. Very kind of you. Opie says, would you like a lift to the NDC convention, George? Opie, I think it was this past week I mentioned on Good Day Grenada. I have only ever been to one political convention in my 68 years. And I think that was the first convention after I returned to this place in 1986. I stay away from political conventions. I do. That's the honest truth. All right, pilgrims, now that we have gotten our feet wet, let's take a look at the rundown and see where we go today. We will begin with a buzz, as always, which includes a reading from the Holy Scriptures. And yes, Little Angel is on board with us this morning. She has a nice little piece. We'll share that with you in just a wee bit. Now, as far as editorials are concerned, we do have the regulars, the Grenada Advocate and the New Today, but we also have another piece which was written by Raw TITUS. Let's take a look. First of all, the Grenada Advocate is captioned, Preventing More Debt Crises. Yeah? I hope we're working towards that. The New Today is captioned, Crucial Time for Congress. They are referring to the NDC convention, which gets underway at about now, I think. Yeah? Down at the Trade Center. Raw TITUS, a journalist here in Grenada, he wrote a piece which appeared in the New Today this week. And it was a very powerful piece, and I thought I'd share it with you. It is captioned, Garraway's luck begins to run out. It'd be nice to know what you think about that after I share that with you in just a wee bit. As far as our features are concerned today, we have for you 3 features. The first one is captioned, Grenada to Face the World at EXPO 2020. Know that exposition coming up next year? And yep, we're going to be on display out there. I guess we're going to be showing off our various rums and chocolates and what have you. You'll be hearing the presentation which was made to the post-cabinet briefing this past week by Honorable Nickolas Steele, who is the Minister International Business. All right, that is the first of our features. The second feature is captioned State of Tourism in Grenada. And on this one, you'll be hearing from the Tourism Minister, Clarice Modeste-Curwen, Honorable Clarice Modeste-Curwen. All right? That's our second feature this morning. She does a summary of where things are in Grenada and, you know, what our hopes and expectations are, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then, yeah, I thought it was worth repeating. We're going to bring you Friday's edition of Good Day Grenada. Every Friday, Brian Pitt joins us, and he spoke about some stuff this week which I thought you just might be interested in. One of the things we discussed was the state of our roads. And the traffic congestion on our roads. You also talk about the exorbitant banking fees that we're seeing showing up now at the banks. You know, every time you blink, 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 fees, fees, fees. And he also touched on the NDC convention, which, as I mentioned, should be getting underway at about now. So you'll be hearing those. I also, how do I put this? I also want to share some inspirational stuff with you. You know, there's so many things going wrong in the world today. I try to use every opportunity I can get my hands on to share something positive, something uplifting with you. And there's one piece that I ran this week on Good Day Grenada with a gentleman by the name of Wintley Phipps. He's actually a Trinidadian, probably one of the world's most acclaimed gospel singers. I'm going to run that by you again. But I also have another piece, which I'm also going to share with you, which I think you will also find very inspiring. And if that's not enough, I have made a note here to bring a little laughter into your life. For the past few weeks, we've been sharing a young man from Trinidad. His name is Daniel Loveless. He does a piece called What You Know. Makes you laugh, but if you really stop and think about it, it is so sad that, because I think it really reflects the level of education out there. And I think it would be unfair to say just here in the Caribbean, but in the world in general, people can't spell, huh? And basic general knowledge questions that are being asked of them, they cannot answer. Yeah, it's kind of sad. But the program itself is absolutely funny. It's a real riot to listen to. So we are going to try and sneak that in for you. And I also have a note here. You've probably seen this on the website. It says your calls. Yeah. I do, after we're through with running those videos for you, the features and what have you, I'm going to open up the phone line 415-0631. So please, for God's sakes, don't phone me now. But wait until we're through running these videos, which will be sometime after 11 o'clock this morning. And of course, those of you on the mighty Facebook, please feel free to chime in at any time. Absolutely free to comment. So, that's your rundown, eh? A mouthful, which means we're in for a fun program. And with the number of you who have already shown up this morning, hey, could be a good one. I would love to talk with you, so please get ready to call me later on this morning. Okay, let's see who else has chimed in here. Hey, Margaret, saying happy Sunday to everybody. Martin Carmichael Simon, saying good day to you guys. Jackie O is there. And Sharon Roberts. Hello, Sharon. Looking forward to seeing you on Wednesday. Sharon is saying, thanks for reminding me. I'm not sure reminding you of what, Sharon, but whatever. I'm glad that I did remind you. And Ryan Jabon saying good morning, and so is Sherry Wilson. Okie doke, folks. So there you have the rundown on this, I still say beautiful Sunday morning, despite the light rain showers we were having a few minutes ago. Maybe gone by now, I'm not sure. But it's going to be a blessed day. So be thankful, be thankful, be thankful. First break, then we'll come on back with this week's edition of The Buzz.
Because your vehicle is a necessity, being roadworthy is critical. Hubbard's Motor Department introduces its new tire and battery sales and service outlet located at Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, close to the Sugar Mill Roundabout. Available are a wide range of competitively priced tires, maintenance-free batteries, oils and lubricants. Keeping in mind your busy schedule, this outlet is equipped to provide you with fast and reliable service. Simply drive in and you'll be delighted with your service experience. For more information, contact 440-2087. Hubbard's. Quality service. Affordable prices.
Christmas safety tips. Always unplug Christmas tree lights before leaving home or going to sleep. Check your tree lights and outdoor lights for damage each year before you use them. Discard lights with frayed wires, loose connections, and cracked sockets. Do not overload your wall outlets or extension cords. Remind children never to touch lights or outlets. Select lights appropriately. Never use indoor lights outside or vice versa. Happy holidays from Grenlet.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Co-op Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank. And there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Welcome home.
Alrighty, folks. Alrighty. It's now, let's see here, 17 and a half minutes after the hour. I see here that, yeah, I can imagine, a lot of people are sort of messed up the way it was put here by Ryan this morning. Ryan says, the clock messed me up. Yeah, blame it on the clock, Ryan. Yeah, sure. And Jackie O says, this time change has me off track. Well, despite that, you folks you're here. You're here. That's great. Thank you. Opie says, I would like to meet Sharon, Gigi. My dad was born in Petit Martinique. Oh, okay. Sharon, Opie wants to meet you. You guys can liaise through me. I'll exchange numbers for you if you so desire. Nutris Williams says, a few more weeks in lovely Grenada before I return to the cold. Nutris, I am glad you're enjoying Grenada. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. Sometimes you wonder. It seems like, those of you who come back to visit have a much deeper appreciation for what we've got here than many who live here. Kind of sad, no? Wow. Anyhow, folks, let me see here. Hazel Ferguson is saying, blessed Sunday to everyone. Ryan says, it's not cold for me, obviously, because you're in the deep south. Hey, you're in Florida, Orlando. But I'll tell you, the folks up there north of you don't get beat up by storms. That's for sure. Sharon wants to know from Opie, who's your dad? Dada Opie. Just kidding. Pilgrims, this week's edition of The Buzz, we begin. An opening scripture. Here we go. Looking at his disciples, he said, blessed are you who are poor, for yours is the kingdom of God. Blessed are you who are hungry now. For you will be satisfied. Blessed are you who weep now, for you will laugh. Blessed are you when people hate you, when they exclude you and insult you and reject your name as evil because of the Son of Man. Rejoice in that day and leap for joy, because great is your reward in heaven. For that is how their ancestors treated the prophets. But woe to you who are rich, for you have already received your comfort. Woe to you who are well fed now, for you will go hungry. Woe to you who laugh now, for you will mourn and weep. Woe to you when everyone speaks well of you, for that is how their ancestors treated the false prophets. Familiar reading? It should be. Luke chapter 6, verses 20 to 26. Okay, just before I continue here, let me see. Lydia James is saying, good Sunday morning, everyone. Bright and sunny in Toronto, but cold. Hello, girl. Get ready to freeze your Twinkies off. From here on, it's downhill. You know that, don't you? Davini Leo, I always have a tough time pronouncing that word. Davini Leo says, good morning, everyone. Another educational day with Principal GG. The time change had me late for class. Looking forward to learning today. I'm looking forward to learning from you guys today, too. I do every day, except Saturday. Take a day off. Obviously, Nutris knows Davini. She's saying hi to him. Jackie O says, well, with the amount of people in D.C. this weekend celebrating the Nationals, I couldn't feel the cold. Congratulations, Jackie, congratulations. I got to watch some of the games in part, but I did see the end. I did see the end. I bet you guys wish that that final game was played in Washington, didn't you? Yes. Okay, now here comes Little Angel. Little Angel says, repeating history and events. That's the caption of her piece this week. According to its weekly newsletter dated October 25th, 2019, entitled, People Are Losing Patience, Transparency International made a valid observation that the many protests that have taken place and continue to take place around the world had a number of things in common. They included voicing discontent with governments, citizens protesting against rising prices, taxes, expensive public services, austerity measures, state control, disregard for human rights, corruption and its obvious benefit to a few at the expense of many. People also stood up against economic growth that either did not exist or did not materialize into the expected benefit for everyone. These things are also common within the Grenadian society, giving people reasons to protest, but they haven't, at least, not on a large scale. Could it be that Grenadians are sleeping? Or could it be that they simply cannot be bothered? Or are they aware of what they need to be aware of? If it is the latter case, then history may be repeating itself. In 1983, Grenadians were not aware of a number of facts surrounding the revolution and the Maurice Bishop-led administration. People feared for their lives and were afraid to talk and take certain actions. Information which circulated then and that which came to light in recent times are testimonies to those fears. The situation is no different today. Grenadians are experiencing unfair treatment and continue to say nothing. Some choose to keep their mouths shut for fear of losing their jobs and the opportunity to earn a living. The death of Maurice Bishop and others on the fort shocked many Grenadians who were in disbelief. Can Grenadians admit today that they know all that they need to know and should know about the governance of their country? Many questions that are asked remain either unanswered or ignored. Others are not asked at all. Individuals who ask questions are targeted and even victimized. In at least one case, pertinent information about the island's gas and oil deal was made available from neighboring Trinidad. A fitting question is, what are the things that the Grenadian population should know which they don't know? And what will be the result if they knew? Who in Grenada are informed when certain laws are passed and decisions which may not be in the best interest of the country are taken? Are the necessary checks and balances which were identified as being necessary to avoid a repeat of the 1983 events in place? By now, every right-thinking Grenadian should know that a lack of information, the failure to dialogue, discuss, and talk, and the lack of checks and balances are recipes for disaster. Grenadians may not wish to see a repeat of the 1979 to 1983 era, but in recent years and up to today, events which have already taken place can be considered as laying the foundation for a repeat of history. In order to avoid history from repeating itself, change is inevitable. Grenada cannot continue on its current path. The island's governance structure needs to change, and it must begin with the Constitution. And most definitely, a change of mindset among the people. Only Grenadians can avoid repeating their history. No one else can do that for them. Signed, Little Angel. Thank you, Little Angel. God bless you. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Sharon Roberts says, someone once told me that there are two seasons in Canada, winter and July. Yeah, Sharon, I hear where you're coming from, girl. Nutris Williams says, it's the best day of the week. Yeah, okay. Ryan Jabon says, yes, the Beatitudes of Jesus provide a way of life that promises salvation. They also bring peace in the midst of our trials and tribulations on this earth. Hey, Ryan, we're on the same page, bro. Opie says, Archelaus Sheaf Joseph, son of Adelaide Nee Roberts and Greg Joseph. Sharon, that's a response to your question there from OP. Go do your research. Have fun. Nutris is in the spice aisle. John is, hello, John. You're kind of sauntering a little bit late this morning. Says, good morning, gang. Just got power back at my modem as heavy rain and thunder around here. Heavy rain and thunder? Ooh, we don't have that down here, boy. Nope, at least not yet, but it could be coming our way. Anyway. T.F. Richards is on the road again. This morning he is in Laredo in Texas. Hello, T.F. In the truck? In your truck? Nice of you to join us. OP says too much secrecy by those we put our trust in, and who are looking after themselves first. Toby was never like that. Toby was never like the other 14. Toby, I guess he's referring to Tobias Clement. Yeah. Lovely piece once more. A right on point, says Ernesto, whatever that means. Aline Buddy Hotsford is saying good morning to you guys. Hello, Aline. And hello, Mr. Pele Darbo. Oswald Darbo is saying Sunday greetings to you all. You know, Pele, it's common to see you here on a weekday morning for a good day, Grenada. But I don't think we see you too often on a Sunday, and in that case, we're very honored. Thank you very much for joining us. Sharon says we have heavy rain. We have heavy rain in St. Paul's. Oy, oy, oy. Better make sure the windows are closed here. Huh? Okay. All right, folks, there you have it. That's this week's edition of The Buzz. And up next, we are going to begin with our editorial pieces.
Alec, we're starting work on the house soon, and I'll need your help.
Sure. What do you need?
I got a service application checklist from GRENLEC's website.
This looks easy.
It is. We need a new service.
That's option A.
So wherever there's an A, that's something we must do in order to get the service.
So the other things without an A don't apply.
Exactly. The checklist shows us what documents to bring, the fees, and how soon we'll get the service.
So that you realize for all services, we must complete the right application form, have a valid photo ID, and a certificate from the electrical inspector?
That's right. The electrician will help us apply to the ministry for a certificate of inspection. So we'll use the checklist to get everything we need before going to GRENLEC. This will make the process smooth and save lots of time.
Okay, might as well get started.
GRENLEC, energizing our Grenada.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
You don't know how many hurricanes will be coming this season, so you need to be prepared. At Hubbard's Hardware and Building Supply Departments and the Food Fair Supermarkets, everything from canned foods, flashlights and batteries, to plywood, tarpaulin, lanterns, roof repair kits, water tanks, etc. are available. For over 90 years, we've helped you prepare for and recover from storms. Hubbard's Hardware, Food Fest Supermarkets, and the Grenadian General Insurance, an integral part of your hurricane preparedness plan.
Oh yeah, here we go. We are back, my dear friends. A couple of comments here. It looks like we chased away our friend Oswald Darbo. He says, watching Songs of Praise on BBC One, then sports in one form or another around that time. I'll catch up with the rebroadcast later. Okay, Pele. At least we're happy that you showed your face. Thank you so much, sir. M. Claudius McLeod says, the question is, what are the motivations for people's alignment to a particular party? Is it on the interest of good governance or solely to gratify their bottom line? Greed will always subvert morality. Claudius, you know, perhaps I just didn't know how to phrase that question. But it's a very, very good question, and that's why I do not go to political conventions. And maybe that's why I am so often in the doghouse, you know. John Nozinek responds to him by saying, Claudius McLeod, the latter, I'm afraid. Okay, well, we've also been joined by Philip Jack, who's with us this morning. My dear friends, here comes the first of our editorials on the Sunday morning. And this one comes to you from the Grenada Advocate. It is captioned, Preventing More Debt Crises. Early last month, Commonwealth Secretary General, the Right Honourable Patricia Scotland, made some very serious observations in a piece titled, The World Must Not Sleepwalk into Another Debt Crisis. In her opening paragraph, she observed that trade wars, protectionism, and nationalistic rhetoric are combining to create the possibility of a nightmare debt crisis that could be worse than any previously experienced. Global borrowing is, according to her, now at the highest levels since the 1950s, and history suggests that we take this as a warning that a debt crisis could be looming. For the heavily indebted countries of the Caribbean, including Barbados, this is a warning that cannot be ignored. Before the onset of the debt issues with which this region is very familiar, the Latin American debt crisis of the 1980s brought memories of how countries have had to struggle in settling such situations. That had started when Mexico and some other Latin American states told international lenders they were in no position to repay their debt, given the economic turmoil that swept those countries in the early 1980s when the world economy went into recession. They defaulted on their loan repayments, a development that threatened the viability of several financial institutions and private individuals. Prior to that, those countries had borrowed heavily on the private international capital market to finance industrialization and infrastructure developments. Debt levels soared from about $70 billion in 1975 to 5 times that amount in less than 10 years. However, as a consequence of the recession, domestic economic problems set in. Incomes were affected, spending, including expending by governments, was reduced. Economic growth stagnated, and exports and imports also fell, which led to the debt crisis. Austerity measures, debt rescheduling, the exchange debt for bond and some debt write-offs eventually brought an end to the crisis in the early 1990s. The Caribbean currently has its problems with debt, and has for a long time. Guyana had sought accommodation from the Paris Club and right now has a low debt-to-GDP ratio. Jamaica has had to implement job rescheduling or debt rescheduling, and so too have Belize and Barbados. While these countries are pursuing debt reduction strategies, the others have debt-to-GDP ratios in the high 80s% and 90% levels. This is even as they grapple with a slowdown in their economies brought on by hurricanes and other disruptions. In the case of Barbados, it has just concluded negotiations with external creditors for debt rescheduling, following one which was done with domestic creditors towards the end of last year. Dealing with high debt is therefore not an easy task, especially when economic conditions are not that rosy. It was revealed that haunting memories of the economic chaos, poverty, and suffering caused by previous debt crises are the reasons Commonwealth finance ministers are putting their heads together to prevent a recurrence of a crisis. This is necessary with a recession and the impact of Brexit looming for the region. Let's hope these issues do not become a reality. Pilgrims, that's the editorial which appeared on Wednesday in the Grenada Advocate. Okay, let's see here. Ryan says disconnect with government is basically caused by its economic problems, which affect citizens and disparities between the haves and the have-nots. Wayne Francis saying good morning to you all. John says Baroness Scotland is a loyal Labour Party member that wants to go to bed with Russia. You jealous, John? Yeah, Tessa Bear. Hello there, Tess. Excuse me, from now on it's Dr. Barry. I'm only kidding. Nice to see you, Tess. Isaac says, we really need more women governing countries because they can be the best economists when it comes to spending our monies. Okay, OP? I think there's the message there. I see that we've also been, let me get ready to scroll back here a little bit. We've also been joined by Melvon Coutain. Terry Williamson is there. Terry, nice to see you guys. Harry Munro? The Harry Munro? Huh. Good to see you, Harry. You're retired now, aren't you? John Pilgrim's also there. Nesta, hello, Nesta, out there in Switzerland. Nice to see you. Anthony Howard, if I'm not mistaken, is in New Jersey. Arthur Langine, Margaret Francis, yeah. We've seen all you guys before. Pilgrim Zoe, it's 9:44. Let's take a break. And then we shall return with the editorial from the New Today.
Can I have a chicken lunch, please? Large.
Real nice today.
I don't want that.
But you just asked for a chicken lunch.
I don't have problem with the lunch. Afraid the container.
What is the problem with it?
These styrofoam containers, they don't good for the environment. They shorten with life.
What foolishness you telling me? So what you want me to use?
Put my food in this.
Where you get that?
At the food fair, where you could get all biodegradable food boxes and disposable food supplies like cups, plates, anything you could think about. Name it, it's there. And they don't harm the environment. Food Fair taking the lead in cleaning up and protecting the environment. Hey, like you take me advice, you get in your biodegradable food supplies.
Well, girl, I supporting who's supporting the environment. That's why I shopping at Food Fair.
Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets. Products distributed by Hubbard's agency, Kirani James Boulevard.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Well, folks, Claude Putner has now checked in, and he's sending happy Sunday greetings and God's richest blessings to everyone. Thank you very much, Claude. Good to see you, bro. And now we turn to the editorial which appeared in this past week's edition of The New Today. That was on Friday, by the way. It is captioned, Crucial Time for Congress. Sunday's convention by the main opposition National Democratic Congress is the most significant one for the party since its formation in 1987 by the late George Brazan, Dr. Francis Alexis, and former Prime Minister Tillman Thomas. This convention is coming nearly 20 months after the party was rolled over for the second consecutive election, 15-0, by the current ruling New National Party of Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell. The New Today is looking forward to the slate that is elected into office on the weekend to form the National Executive, which will definitely steer the party into the next general election. Congress is very much at the crossroads as a major political party in Grenada, and Sunday's outcome can definitely determine its future prospects in the country where state power is concerned. It appears on the face of it that former Education Minister Franca Alexis Bernardine is poised to become the new political leader of the NDC, and the very first woman to be elected at a convention into such an office by a major political party in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. This newspaper is aware that Alexis Bernardine has the full backing of former Prime Minister Tillman Thomas, who is still one of the most popular political figures in the country. The former education minister is the only person within the NDC who could have emerged to take on the massive task that lies ahead. The others who might like to see themselves as pretenders to the throne are not ready and equipped for the job that lies in waiting. Outside of Uncle Tilly, Franca Alexis Bernardine is the only one within the NDC who has national appeal and is known to be well respected regionally and internationally. The former education minister was the most successful of the cabinet ministers in the 2008 to 2013 government with the introduction of the school books program. The task ahead for the new Congress leader is a very formidable one, and the executive that is elected alongside her will determine whether the job ahead can be done. The New Today is offering a bit of advice to Alexis Bernardine that she would only succeed if she manages to stamp her authority on the party from November 3rd and surround herself with a team that can be trusted. The incoming Congress leader should ensure that there is a structured role within the organization for former Prime Minister Tillman Thomas, as he is still respected in many quarters, both inside and outside of Grenada, and seen by any as the face of the NDC. However, the new NDC leader should be careful about the power brokers in the midst and should not make the same mistake as Uncle Tilly, who accommodated a group of so-called progressives who turned on him in office in the 2008-2013 period and attempted to hijack the party and government from him, all for power. Uncle Tilly literally made the same mistake as late Prime Minister Maurice Bishop, who allowed his deputy, Bernard Cord, to obtain a majority on the Central Committee of the New Jewel Movement, with his massive infiltration into the party hierarchy of those loyal to him under the Organization of Revolutionary Education, also known as the RAWLE brand, as they were the ones who moved to take control of the 1979-1983 Grenada Revolution and mashed up the entire process. There are a few elements still within the NDC who have a similar mindset about power and have their eyes on it. And the new incoming political leader of Congress must protect herself and the organization and never allow herself to be used by anyone with hidden agendas. Alexis Bernadine should be mindful of the fact that she needs to surround herself with some of the most trusted Congress lieutenants in all of the key positions of the party, especially General Secretary, Deputy Political Leader, and in the area of public relations. It is not only about trust, but these persons must be able to perform at a certain level, since it will take a new approach and a new thinking for NDC to put in a position to capture state power from Dr. Mitchell and his NNP group. The NDC can only become a force once again if the new political leader is prepared to engage with other important sections of the Grenadian society, including other political organizations and parties. Congress will never become a potent political force if the party refuses to reach out to all and sundry in Grenada and move beyond its current boundary and support base. The new today is hopeful that those with influence within the NDC come to their senses and realization that the party should emerge from Sunday's convention with a certain amount of newness and freshness, and to move away from those who led in recent years in terms of strategies, but failed so miserably. The new today will have to be forward-looking and try something new in order to be able to pose a serious challenge to the NNP. This newspaper would also like to condemn in the strongest possible terms the decision of the NNP to have an employee of the National Insurance Scheme address its annual convention of delegates. This was very unfortunate, since NIS should never be compromised as a national institution that cuts across the political lines and boundaries. A new government should fire the entire NIS Board of Directors, including the manager, for agreeing to appear on the platform of a political party in the country. There is a minister with responsibility for NIS, and that is the correct person to be used by the NNP as a party to address its delegates and supporters at their convention. The New Today will never support the political prostitution of state bodies by any political organization in Grenada. There you have it, dear friends. That's the editorial which appeared in Friday's edition of the New Today. Okay, well, let me scroll back here. Oh, you guys are really moving fast this morning. And again, I'm hoping that you're taking your time. I haven't had the time to pre-read these before going on the air, but out of a burning desire to make sure that your voices be heard, I am going to take a chance and read, okay? Be prepared. If you stump me, I just ignore you and move on. And chances of me looking at your post down the road diminish, okay? I have to be honest with you because week after week, I beg. Okay, so let's go back here. Okay. Claudius McLeod says, for small island states are there, forget it, Mr. McLeod, goodbye. Ernesto Jose says, on the To the Point program last Wednesday, there were two representatives of the unions, and I happened to ask the question, why the unions don't take to the street because the government keeps playing games and are not serious. Gigi, you won't believe the answer the gentleman gave to me. He said taking to the streets reminded him of October 19th, 1983, where people died because of demonstrations, and he lost friends. I was stunned by his answers. Public servants, the unions don't have your interest. And I think the leadership of the unions should be moved out of their positions. If taking to the streets is not one of the options to send a message to government. Okay. Wayne Francis says that would be a good move. Go with the NDC. Okay. Nutris Williams says, true. A great man. Nutris, I've mentioned the names of a lot of men this morning. I haven't a clue who this great man is. Frank, let's see here. Sharon says, if Franca is chosen to lead the NDC, the party will have to do some serious pruning to get rid of the dead branches. Amen, Sharon. John says, even I knew there was a cuckoo in the NDC nest, and he has now moved back over to his cohorts. Margaret says, inevitably, it always comes back to NJM, Grenada Revo, Orel, yada, 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 yada. The source of all Grenada's woes, shaking my damn head. Aye, Mags. Okay. Sharon says, NDC will have to stop focusing on KCM and start engaging the people. Margaret says, Sharon, that will be a whole lot of dead branches. Thanks for the entertainment on this Sunday morning, folks. First Sunday of the month. Marina Williams Johnson says, take heed, NDC. And yeah, I hope they're listening, folks. Listen, listen, listen to the people. Deveni Leo says, well said, let's move forward without the personal attacks. Yes, Leo, absolutely. Isaac O.P. Joseph says, Franca is undoubtedly the favored person to take NDC into government when the next general elections are called, or when we, the citizens, demand that our present PM steps down. Okie dokie. Nutris Williams says, Tillman Thomas. Okay, thanks for clarifying that. Margaret says, Sharon, that is quite right. It is something that a lot of NDCites either fail to or are deliberately ignoring. The electorate is fully aware of the corruption. So that is old news. Instead, they should be talking about how they will address the many issues and problems confronting the nation. Don't know if you guys heard this past week's edition of The Heartbeat. It seemed to me, in my humble, non-political opinion, it seemed to me that the NDC had turned the corner, or at least indicated that they're willing to turn the corner, rather than going after the government week after week after week, and after Keith, week after week after week. They wrote a piece which talked about their accomplishments. Forgive me, but I'm hoping that maybe the next one, that was good, but maybe I'm hoping that the next one will say, okay, this particular issue, here is how we intend to deal with it. Damn it. Let's wait and see. Okay. Peter Bishop says, good morning from Cary. Hello, Peter, traveling salesman. He's having internet issues, but he jamming? Yeah, I feel so sorry for Cary. You have a lot of internet problems up there. Bob Marichaux says, my advice to the NDC is to establish a code of conduct for the executive. Service would not be a get-rich scheme, but moving the country forward. Wish them well. Okay, yes. Okay. All right, folks. Whew. I told you we have another piece this morning, so it's not just going to be the Advocate and the New Today. And this piece is going to make you. But before we get to that piece, break time.
Because your vehicle is a necessity, being roadworthy is critical. Hubbard's Motor Department introduces its new tire and battery sales and service outlet located at Building Supplies Compound in Grandams, close to the Sugar Mill Roundabout. Available are a wide range of competitively priced tires, maintenance-free batteries, oils and lubricants. Keeping in mind your busy schedule, this outlet is equipped to provide you with fast and reliable service. Simply drive in and you'll be delighted with your service experience. For more information, contact 440-2087. Hubbard's. Quality service. Affordable prices.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Co-op Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank. And there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Welcome home.
Christmas safety tips. Always unplug Christmas tree lights before leaving home or going to sleep. Check your tree lights and outdoor lights for damage each year before you use them. Discard lights with frayed wires, loose connections, and cracked sockets. Do not overload your wall outlets or extension cords. Remind children never to touch lights or outlets. Select lights appropriately. Never use indoor lights outside or vice versa. Happy holidays from GRENADA.
Alrighty, folks, alrighty. Now, every once in a while, in addition to the editorials from the two newspapers, we share another piece. This piece actually appeared in the New Today, and it is captioned, "Garraway's luck begins to run out." It's written by a former president of the Media Workers Association, former head of the GIS, Mr. RAWLE TITUS. And I quote, "Winston Garraway represents a clear and present danger to the Keith Mitchell-led New National Party government's brand. The Prime Minister may not necessarily publicly admit it, but high-ranking party members think so. Garraway's spate of highly publicized escapades, combined with his internal action-creating or tension-creating jostling for prominence within his ministry, have significantly daunted his prospects of upward mobility within the government. In fact, his latest public spat with veteran female journalist Callistra Farrier may yet signal the start of his demise, and the latest ministerial change is quite indicative. It very well may be the straw that broke the camel's back, since he again succeeded in putting his government in a bad light. Garraway's efforts to deny Farrier from interviewing a senior government minister who actually agreed to the interview is a violation of press freedom. He has put his prime minister, who, a couple decades ago, signed the Treaty of Chapultepec, guaranteeing press freedom, in a conundrum, one which he himself cannot defend. Garraway, by virtue of his overzealous exuberance, has also put his senior minister, Simon Steele, under pressure to explain and justify in a public statement which contained several inaccuracies, especially about the proposed media policy, which could have been verified with proper research. A few years ago, Garraway's public comments at a media awards ceremony about Taiwan's decision to forgive a debt to Grenada forced an angry Chinese ambassador, Madame Wei, to storm out of the trade center in protest, thereby creating tension and uneasiness between St. George's and Beijing. Garraway, a senior pastor, is also now attracting more negative attention to himself and his government for a doctorate he accepted 3 years ago from United Graduates College and Seminary International, a Christian-based online college in the United States. The college is reported to be affiliated with the Worldwide Accreditation Commission of Christian Educational Institutions, WWAC, which has been identified as among the top 40 bodies in the United States offering fake degrees. Prime Minister Mitchell is a shrewd politician who wanted Garraway in the Senate as the pit bull to take on then-Senator Nazem Burke of the NDC. And the clashes between the two in the upper house made great television watching. However, Garraway's position, particularly as a junior minister for information, became untenable. And Dr. Mitchell knows this too well. There have been calls, especially from a local attorney, that Garraway be removed from public office, especially for this latest controversy. But the problem the government found itself in is that dismissing Garraway immediately and outright would amount to an admission of guilt in the Callistra matter and would contradict statements from Minister Steele. Leave it to Prime Minister Mitchell to creatively phase them out without generating the perception that his administration is at fault in the Callistra incident and that Garraway is being penalized for his latest public folly. The presence of a largely inexperienced local media and a media association lacking the teeth to provide appropriate advocacy on this issue facilitates the process. Perhaps unknown to the general public, complaints against the senator have been many, and there was always internal speculation about his future. Garraway literally handed the Prime Minister a reason on a silver platter to finally move against him. A government minister, senator, and pastor rebuking and scolding a female journalist in a vulnerable position on the floor, instead of reaching out to lend a hand, does not conjure up a favorable image, especially in this new social media and information era. The late Grenadian journalist and friend of Prime Minister Mitchell, Leslie Pearl, would have been among those raising strong objections. Dr. Mitchell himself has had a plethora of run-ins with local journalists, including lawsuits against them. But he has skillfully managed to conjure up positive relationships with many. And in some instances, his administration has provided temporary refuge for practitioners fleeing a diluting media landscape. Garraway's move against Callistra was counterproductive to the administration's efforts to forge a cozy relationships and curry favor with the press. And the public uproar was not helping. It is significant to note that Garraway's role as information minister was being reduced following the Callistra incident, a development which has not been reported. He normally appeared in the Ministry of Works conference room to monitor post-cabinet news briefings, but has been noticeably absent from the last 4, 2 of which he was out of state. He no doubt would have received a strong reprimand for his actions. His position as information minister was severely threatened, and his behavior in government has not helped. Complaints against him from top advisors have been many. The truth is, top government advisors, as well as the hierarchy of the NNP, have been frowning on the histrionics of Garraway, who has a supersized ego, is thin-skinned, and has poor interpersonal skills. He was removed as public relations officer of the party due to incompetence and replaced by the then dependable Terry Forrester in the run-up to the 2013 general elections. Prime Minister Mitchell rewarded Garraway with a position as a government senator, but ignored close advisors who discouraged him from appointing the controversial pastor to ministerial positions after the 2018 elections. Perhaps Garraway's role was also needed as a link to Grenada's religious community, which represents a large voting population. Garraway can blame no one but himself for his current predicament. He has failed to fully and positively exploit the opportunities handed to him. His penchant for conflict is well known within party and ministry, and as such, the embattled pastor has now charted a declining trajectory for himself with the government. Indeed, time is starting to tell. There you have it. There you have it. Penned by Mr. RAWLE TITUS. And that appeared in Friday's edition of the New Today. Okay, let's, I'm trying to keep up with you guys, just bear with me. Okay, hold on. Okay, Philip Jack says, NDC cannot and will not be the party to lead this country to success and get from under the thumb of the oppressive NNP. The job of moving this country forward can be done. New voices, a good team, and draw the contrast between what we have and what we don't have, what we can do and what is being done. New voices taking it to the people. Amen, Philip Jack. Nutris Williams says, no talking, action is needed. Boy, you guys are sharp. That time change has really got you guys firing on all cylinders this morning, hasn't it? Ernesto says, Gigi, I would like to see women in positions like Franca as leader, Claudette as PR, and the other lady who going for General Secretary of the NDC party. I would like to endorse those three women. You okay, Ernesto? Elton Sylvester says, very good advice. Lord, I hope it's not falling on deaf ears, because there's base sorry, goodbye. Lydia James says, at last, Garraway has bung away. Garraway has bung away. Now I know how to spell bung away. Thank you very much, Lydia. Nutris Williams says, he needs to curb his temper and sit at the feet of his elders and learn from them. Nutris Williams also says, God should be his first teacher. You know, when you see this sort of behavior coming from people in high office who are also pastors, is it hard to understand why so many people are staying away from the church? Think about it. Lydia James says, fake doctor, fake pastor. He is more like a pasta. Yeah, okay, we have a songwriter on here now. Oh, boy. John says, in my humble opinion, Minister G is the one who needs exorcising. Yeah, John. He also says, Lydia James, bland and tasteless. That's the pasta, bland and tasteless. Lydia says, Garraway is going slow but sure. Margaret says, laughing my off. Lydia, you're on a roll, but that pasta needs to be put in a pot and boiled, figuratively. Like I said, boy, oh, this time change has really done it to you guys this morning. It has really done it to you guys. Anthony Park says he is watching and listening intently. Thank you, Anthony, for joining us. Tim Tom Ortega says, it's amazing to hear these people kicked out by KCM, such as Roy Titus, kicked out of GIS, Cashden Hood, kicked out as AG, Terry Forrester, kicked out as PRO, Patrick Antoine, kicked out as CARICOM, kicked out as CARICOM ambassador. Talk objectively about the current administration. When they were inside the belly of the beast, their mouths were open wide shut. I'm having fun this morning. As the song says, I can see clearly now the rain is gone. Sherry Wilson says, well said, Rawle. Couldn't say it better. Okay. Claudius McLeod says, my word for the day is hubris. Mr. Garraway is proving the meaning of the word. Okay. Lydia James says, this is the year of the unruly pastors. Yeah. Philip Jack says, this guy is only doing what he thinks he can get away with. This NNP is not about the people, but all about how they look with false face. It is time my people wake up and throw them all out. Grenada, your opportunity to do so is fast approaching. Do the right thing. Sharon says, I agree with the idea of more women in the party. Cock crows, but it's the hen that lays the eggs. Ernesto says, he's so right on Mr. Garraway. KB warned Dr. Mitchell, Garraway not good for the NNP party. Also, Seldon Scott, C-E-L-L-D-O-N, not Sheldon, Seldon Scott. Okay. I guess, Ernesto, you're saying that KB, I'm assuming that's Kennedy Bildau, warned Dr. Mitchell that Mr. Garraway was not good for the party, and neither was Sheldon Scott. Nutra says they learned late, but they still learned. Clive, hello, Clive. Clive, yes, please, just let me take a sip, Clive. Clive says, I can see that you're having fun and reading the comments on Facebook. Your laughter or chuckle is contagious. Can't help myself. I don't think I've ever had a morning like this. Sonia McKee-John saying, good morning, George, and my people. Well, good morning, Sonia. Isaac says, very enjoyable session, George. And Ernesto says, yes, indeed, Gigi. Folks, whew, time to get down to some serious business, eh? Really, time to get down to some serious business. So let's take a little break, and we'll come back and get down to some serious business. Go get some more water.
Alec, we're starting work on the house soon, and I'll need your help.
Sure. What do you need?
I got a service application checklist from GRENLEC's website.
This looks easy.
It is. We need a new service.
That's option A.
So wherever there's an A, that's something we must do in order to get the service.
So the other things without an A don't apply?
Exactly. The checklist shows us what documents to bring, the fees, and how soon we'll get the service.
So that you realize for all services, we must complete the right application form, have a valid photo ID, and a certificate from the electrical inspector?
That's right. The electrician will help us apply to the ministry for a certificate of inspection. So we'll use the checklist to get everything we need before going to GRENADA. This will make the process smooth and save lots of time.
Okay, might as well get started.
GRENLEC, energizing our Grenada.
You don't know how many hurricanes will be coming this season, so you need to be prepared. At Hubbard's Hardware and Building Supply departments and Food Fair supermarkets, everything from canned foods, flashlights and batteries, to plywood, tarpaulin, lanterns, roof repair kits, water tanks, etc. are available. For over 90 years, we've helped you prepare for and recover from storms. Hubbard's Hardware, Food Fair supermarkets, and the Grenadian General Insurance, an integral part of your hurricane preparedness plan.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Okay, I'm trying to compose myself here. Now, seriously, 10:30. First of all here, Sonia McKee-John says, it is he makes me laugh. Am I making you laugh, girl? If so, good. I'm having fun. Mandu says, good morning. He says, I guess we lost all the audio. Yeah, Mandu, we lost all that audio on the trip up the West Coast, but hey, maybe we can work something out. Davini Leo says, boy, oh boy, I'm learning some new words and phrases. Thanks, class. Well, I'm glad that we've got you happy, Davini. Okay, folks. I'm sure everybody's aware of this great big exposition that's coming up in 2020 in Grenada is going to be represented. Hopefully, it will do some good for not just the economy, but our image. Our image. Now, I think we're really falling short in that area. And this past week, Minister Nickolas Steele explained to the media a whole lot about Grenada's upcoming participation in EXPO 2020. And I thought, hey, you know, let's go off in a little bit different direction this morning. It's the only way I get these guys to appear on this program, grab some stuff off the GIS website. So here goes as we learn how Grenada is about to face the world at EXPO 2020.
I am joined now by the Minister for International Business, Honorable Nickolas Steele. And the subject of discussion now is EXPO 2020. Also at the head table, we have one of Grenada's cultural ambassadors, Mr. Chandel Amede Dash. Minister Steele, tell us everything we need to know about EXPO 2020.
Well, that is a tall order, but I'll do my best to give you as much information as possible. Today we want to officially launch what we refer to as On the Road to Dubai Expo 2020. I want to thank all of the artists, our contributors, our manufacturers, various representatives, and you members of the media who are here for this launching. Basically, it is to sensitize and to get in gear to us getting to Expo. Expo 2020 Dubai begins October 21st, 2020, and the other significant date for us, or the most significant date for us, is the Grenada Day. Grenada Day is January 15th, 2021. This expo is the first expo that is going to straddle a Christmas or holiday period as well, which presents for itself numerous opportunities and challenges. It is also the first expo that Grenada has its own pavilion. Our pavilion is approximately 2,200 square feet, already constructed. I saw it last month when we had a site inspection. We will continue to be monitoring the inspection of the site. The interior of the pavilion was designed through a competition here, designed by Grenadians, for Grenadians we can say. One of our students who was studying in Morocco won the initial design, and TAMCC students as well won the secondary award. So the UAE government is outfitting that pavilion according to those design specs. We also have partnered with one of the restaurant providers in the pavilion this time, and they are going to be visiting Grenada, and they will be at that restaurant will be selling Grenadian product or a Grenadian menu. They are coming to Grenada to try as best as possible to use as much as possible of our local produce, but most definitely it will be our local recipes that will be used. We also engage members of the Hotel Association, Restaurant and Hotel Association, restaurateurs, sorry, through the Hotel Association, for them to volunteer to participate. So there's also an opportunity for a chef to travel to Dubai on Grenada Day to present, as well as an artist. There are also opportunities, so we are looking for volunteers, for individuals who would like to participate or work at the pavilion for the entire almost 5-month period of the expo, and also artists back and forth. There's also negotiated right now for members of the media. It's supposed to be one, but we are looking to see if we can get more than one member of the media to travel to Dubai as well. So we will let you know about that, but it keeps unfolding where more and more opportunities presented to us, and we keep being grateful and asking for as much as possible so that this can be one of our, well, this already is our biggest expo in terms of size and level of participation. And we're looking for it to continue to grow from strength to strength even before it has started. So that is basically, in a nutshell, what we are launching, celebrating, sensitizing you to today. So any other questions or issues before we proceed with the rest of the ceremony?
Thank you very much, Minister. I can say to members of the listening public, and I would ask the GIS cameraman to just turn the camera onto the display table right here. It features a wide range of our locally produced goods, and there are also a number of paintings in the room. It's a pity the listening public cannot get a true sense. I hope GIS is able to pick up some of the images and show to the public some of the things that's made right here in Grenada and that we will have on Expo come 2020. So at this point, I will ask the cultural ambassador, before we go to questions from the media. The cultural ambassador has a specific duty here today. He is going to premiere a song that will be used to promo Expo 2020. He doesn't need any further introduction other than to say he's Dash. Dash, the floor is yours.
Good morning to everybody. The protocol already established. Good morning to all the representatives from the different media houses. Well, my job this morning is to do one simple thing. And it's to make my voice run through this building and run through this forum and uplift everybody, as Ms. Cox says she find everybody serious this morning. My job is this morning to just sing one simple song, and I really can't sit down and sing. It's really hard to do so. And it's a song everybody is well aware of and well known in the island, because we say Grenadians are gifted people, and we're not just saying that just so. We actually have evidence, and we have people to testify. We see things happening. We have Kirani, we have Anderson Peters, we have Seth, we have Vaughan, we have all the soca artists. We have a lot of other people representing the island. So I'm just here this morning to just give you all a verse and a chorus of a song you already know. I summon you now to play mass. Hear what we say. Don't come and grant us no favors. We money day and all on a holiday. We pumping like it's a normal day. If you can't keep up, then stay back. Mas don't waiting on nobody. Set the stage alight as I reach the place, catch our vibes. Oh, Dubai, we alright. It's groovy, grooving all night. We feeling highly energized. Well, who bringing all that? Every man is gifted in his own right. So sit down and make your hands them take. Because we gifted, yeah. They cannot we in a flame. Party people demonstrate. We come out to perform. Because we gifted, yeah. Somebody tell them for me. They can't drain me energy. No day, no time at all. Once we are life in way. They can't take that from we. Call the king of groovy. I got the remedy. Jump up in harmony. Happy for all of them, best believe it. Motivation, all of us need it. He check, who can you will feel it. Rhythm up, imagine a life without music. How will you feel? Man, just like a fish out of water. How will you breathe? Once we feel the heartbeat, we have no choice but to flood the streets like a heavy downpour of rainfall. I hope Dubai ready for we set the stage alight as I reach the place, catch our vibes. Oh, song man, we alright. It's groovy, grooving all night. We feeling highly energized. Well, who bringing all our vibes? Every man is gifted in his own right. So sit down and make your hands them take. Because we gifted, yeah. And we ready to represent in Dubai 2020-2021, we're ready to go and give the world a taste of what we have to offer. Musically, arts, it don't matter. We're representing 473 as a nation. We want to push it to the world. As I said, we have a country to build and a culture to spread. So that is my contribution this morning. Have a blessed morning, everybody.
I don't think I've ever heard this level of thunderous applause at a post-cabinet press briefing, and it's well deserving. I hope, as the artist said, that Dubai is ready, because we are indeed gifted, as exemplified by the talent he just displayed and by the other goods that are presently on display in the room this morning. And with that, we open the floor to questions from members of the media.
Morning all again. We look around and we see quite a number of goods on display, products. Based on the handout, we've seen here there are 15 manufacturers who have confirmed their participation. Can you share with us who are these 15? And the category of produce?
You want me to name them ad lib for you, or I can provide that information? Most definitely, yes.
Okay.
I don't want to try and name ad lib in case I leave out anyone. But we do have 50 right now. We are looking to increase that number. There are some logistical challenges because you have to remember Dubai is one, it's an Islamic country, and two, it is a desert environment in terms of very hot. And our produce in general, or quite a lot of our produce, is either alcohol or chocolate based. Both of those are challenges that we are working around. We have found relatively acceptable solutions. That is one of the reasons why we also went and partnered with a restaurant provider there within the expo, because alcohol cannot be sold directly in the pavilions, but can be sold at the restaurants. So the fact that we have a Grenada restaurant there, while we're not managing it because we don't have those resources, also it will be selling or can sell our alcoholic products there. At the pavilion, unlike other expos, you can't give out sample bottles. You can give sample tastes of alcohol or chocolates or so in the pavilion, in our pavilion, but you can't give out the small bottles. That can be done in terms of sale at the restaurant. So that's one of the reasons. But we're most grateful to all of the manufacturers. And yes, definitely we will share a list. And as we proceed in all of the press briefings and any other thing printed or so, those manufacturers' logos and so will be attached and included as we move forward.
Just to get some either clarification or added information, I know, like you did mention, it is a different type of country in terms of religion and so, but I'm also aware that there are standards in terms of production of goods. I know the outcome of every expo is really to expose for markets in that region. What level of education has been done to educate our producers with regard to the standards, whether it is from the labeling or how to produce the quality as they prepare to leave?
That was one of the first initiatives that we took. Even before the launch, we were meeting and discussing with some of the manufacturers that participated and letting them know that, well, they had asked as well. One of the key challenges previously in other expositions was that products were displayed, and then when potential buyers came and met or expressed interest, we then had to learn or figure out how to have the product exported to to that region. In this instance, we have done it the other way around, figured out how to export, what are the standards or license criteria, etc. So that's already done, that's in place with our partnering with Expo Dubai as well as the UAE government on that. So we have those answers for all of our exporters here in Grenada, and as such we have those answers for all of our potential customers that we would meet there in Dubai.
Besides the chocolate and the rum that has this limitation, are there other products that have other challenges?
No, in general it will be products that have are susceptible to heat, because remember in the summer it can get to 104 degrees Fahrenheit there, or even higher, and the fact that it's an Islamic country, so we need to respect their rules for public consumption of alcohol. But Dubai is one of the most open countries in the GCC, and it's a tourism destination, and they are most accommodating, but there are rules and regulations that have to be followed.
Christina John, Grenada Broadcasting Network. My question to you, Minister, is in terms of local preparation, what was done with the persons who produce these products? What was the level of preparation done, or what is being done with them so that they meet up to the level of the standards?
It's a continued journey. The team, Shanta Cox and others, have been meeting with them, interacting, finding out their concerns, their issues, their challenges, and then we have been having those discussions. We've been acting as liaisons between them and the EXPO organizing committee in Dubai, as well as wherever there may be potential customers, and so to try and create as many opportunities as possible and to make that process as seamless as possible. So most recently there have been discussions, I know, with UAE or Dubai government with respect to the timing, deadlines, etc., to shipping items there, and the methods of shipping, and so we know exactly when, because it has to be done in advance, and the various clearances and documentation that must be done, the packaging, etc., that must be done. All of those things, all of those questions we have been asked, and we have the answers. But it's a constant journey, and one of the reasons for today's event as well is to sensitize everybody, including the very manufacturers and artists, and so that the clock is ticking. We're coming down to the wire. It is a year away, but as far as we're concerned, we're coming down to the wire in terms of some of those decisions, ramping up production where necessary, getting the proper packaging, getting the artists in particular, getting them focused on that so that they can, if they don't already have it, have art designed specifically with a theme in mind that works for EXPO, giving everybody advance notice. I don't think there has been an EXPO previously that has had this much advanced communication and interaction, and so with our public, potential participants as well. Going back to the competition with the schools for the design, etc. So there's been tremendous interaction, and that's why we look forward to this being one of our best expos possible.
Just to add, answer your question, preparation of the manufacturers.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, just to add to your question, in terms of the preparation of the manufacturers, we're working with the Bureau of Standards and the Ministry of Trade in terms of bringing the labels and the packaging up to standard. So it's only yesterday I spoke to the director of the Bureau of Standards, and they are on board in terms of working along with us to ensure that the manufacturers are up to the level of the GCC countries.
A next question. Just allow me, please. Based on the support for the producers of these products, would there be any support coming from the government's end in terms of getting the items to Dubai?
Yes, there is complete costs covered for getting the items to Dubai. All costs are covered.
Sherry and Noel, GIS. Minister, I just want to ask, the Expo 2020 is a big deal. In terms of our young producers, manufacturers, have any of them signed up already, or is there anything in place to ensure that they are young manufacturers, producers within the mix of who's going to go to Dubai 2020 Expo?
Well, last time I met with them, there were quite a lot of young individuals in the room, as to whether you mean new manufacturers or just young individuals involved in the manufacturing process. Both. We're looking for more as well, but there has been from the beginning a focus on youth or young individuals. That's why the competition for the design did not involve professional architects or so. It involved our young students, and only went as far as university students. It did not involve professional architects. So there is that focus even in the theme of the Dubai Expo, which is connecting minds and creating futures. That's what we're sticking with as well. That's the whole idea here. It's to connect the various cultures, the minds, and to create a future between from the opportunities created here.
Morning, Calistro Barrier. Great expedition we're about to embark on.
Dubai is not on the beaten track, one may say. And coming out of any expo, one of the things we hope is that we can export, we can ship, we can have regular trade. Can you explain to me if there are any difficulties in terms of what happens if, both in capacity and in shipping lanes, what happens if someone orders 200,000 units of a Grenadian product? Do each of our manufacturers who will be displaying there and have the potential to attract orders, do they all have the capacity to meet such large orders that one would expect would come out of something like that, if orders come out of it? And can we ship? Cost is a very important matter in trade, and high costs would certainly prohibit trade in a particular way. So have we looked at that? Is it cost effective for us to trade? And do any of our manufacturers have the capacity to meet such large international orders?
Well, first off, let me correct you. Dubai is very much on the beaten track. It's the largest airport in the world with the highest amount of traffic.
Not to interrupt you, I was talking about shipping from down here in Grenada.
It's
yeah?
also the largest port in the world in terms of transshipments, etc. Shipping from here, as opposed to shipping anywhere else in the world, has its costs. It is going to be more efficient and effective to ship to Dubai than to ship to any of the other African countries or so. Most of our shipment goes through Miami, as we are aware. Those are the challenges we have. Most of our manufacturers do not have the capacity to be shipping in hundreds of thousands of pounds or so, but we're going to be there, and that's how manufacturers move from where they are to the 100,000 pounds or so, is to create the opportunities, and the obligation of a government is to make sure that those opportunities are created wherever possible. So we have made sure that 2,200 square feet is available to display Grenada. Within that 2,200 square feet, there will be an opportunity for Grenadian manufacturers to have their products on display and purchased there, and to negotiate wherever possible with potential buyers. Every expo has potential buyers there. So that's the opportunity. Now, in this instance, compared to other expos, we have gone as a CARICOM pavilion. We've had less than 2,200 square feet to share with all of our CARICOM countries. This year, 2021, we will have 2,200 square feet dedicated purely to Grenada. Now, it's not dedicated only to Grenadian products. It is dedicated to Grenada. We are going to sell a Grenada story to the world there. Part of that Grenada story is what Grenada has to offer on sale, our produce. The other part of that Grenada story is who we are, our culture, and where we believe we are going, our future. So that is all of what Expo is and has to offer. So it's not just about the manufacturers. Today, we are proudly displaying, as we will for the entire period of Expo, our manufacturers and our artists. It is about Grenada. It is about putting Grenada on the map wherever the opportunity occurs. And in this case, it is, as I said, we have a bigger pavilion than ever before. So we have a greater opportunity than ever before. I do hope that coming out of this, if the one complaint is that the orders were too big, then it would be most definitely one that I would be willing to accept criticism for. Thank you.
Most times not intended to be criticism. It's just trying to get information. Can you tell me the entire cost of this to Grenada? You said we're paying for our manufacturers or participants.
No, I said that manufacturers, their products are getting there fully supported. We are receiving support, as most of the other developing countries are, from the UAE government on this to guarantee our participation. That is one of the things that we negotiate up front. For most expos is that we have challenges in participating and getting our products there, so we seek to get as much support as possible. So that is why in this instance we have negotiated to get 2,200 square feet covered for us, already built, to have our products shipped to the UAE and into Dubai, to have customs clearance arranged, to have housing for our basic team that has to be there covered, to have airfare covered, to have airfare and housing for artists covered, to have our restaurant covered, to have the produce that will be shipped there, however much that we can, covered as well. So we've negotiated all of this this time around to make sure that this is, while it's the biggest event for them, that it becomes the biggest expo for us as well, within the challenges that we have.
To understand that Grenada does not have to put any money at all into getting us into this 200.
We are going to be putting money probably to get additional people there. But basically, our
do we have a budget? Do we have a costing on what
we always have a
pay
budget?
for?
Our manufacturers are going to have to be participating. They are going to have to be giving samples as well. The government does have a budget. Yes, we do have a budget as well. But in this instance, where before our budget would just have gotten us there with one person in the room, this time we have all of this covered. So we still have our same budget, but we're able to do so much more with it. Our budget for expos is usually about $25,000 to $50,000. That would get you there, full stop. Everything else normally has always been covered by the hosting nation for expos. Always has been covered by the hosting nations. It's the same with most international events also. The hosting nation will cover as much as possible. So this year, I think that the focus is that we have negotiated as much as possible, more than ever before, for everyone involved in it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Faria, for your questions. Let's allow another representative of the media to ask our questions. Please, do we have any further questions from members of the media? Okay, at this point, I would like to ask one of the manufacturers to come forward to share with us her thoughts on what this expo will offer for her as a manufacturer. Ms. Tamara Prosper Wells. Ms. Noel of GIS, do you mind yielding your seat to Ms. Tamara Prosper so that she can use the microphone? Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tamara Prosper, and I speak in the capacity of a Grenadian manufacturer, a proud Grenadian manufacturer, and also the owner behind the brand Brand by Tamara. I think that I am correct to say that as a representative of the small business manufacturing sector, we are indeed proud, we are indeed elated for the opportunity to add to the Grenadian product, because it's not only what we offer, but it's what Grenada offers. In our capacities, we share a virtual space, so from the energies of the other manufacturers, we are in our own spaces trying to maximize on our capacities, produce the best quality of produce that we can, so that our offerings can exceed the expectations of the buyers, of the visitors to the pavilions, etc. We would also like to thank and commend the minister and his team. They have invested in us in terms of having workshops to upgrade, show the benefits of upgrading our packaging, our labeling, etc. And there is continuous dialogue and sharing of information. So from our stance, in our capacity, we are indeed grateful. We put out our best and hope that everything works out, because, of course, small business helps to drive the economy. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Well said. I think she did a good job, manufacturers. Do you agree, or would anyone else like to add a couple comments to what was stated here? Do we have anyone else who would like to volunteer? No? We're all shy. We let the products speak for themselves? Okay.
Alrighty. Folks, that was Minister Steele talking about the upcoming Expo 2020 in Dubai. Best wishes. Now, a lot of comments from you guys on social media. However, please bear with me. I really want to try and get everything in, okay? So I'm going to go directly now to the tourism minister, Clarice Modeste-Curwen, as she provided an update on the state of tourism in Grenada.
But it just takes one. It just takes one message out there about Grenada not being environmentally friendly and whatever have you, one little photo somewhere, and you know, it does a lot of damage. But generally we get very good reviews, don't get me wrong, in terms of the cleanliness, but it means that we still have to step up to the plate. We have been having discussions about, with Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines, about onboard employment. While we do get some, we know that all islands get more, so we look at them and we say, well, why can't we get more? So this time we were able to take a draft legislation, because there are terms and conditions. We worked very aggressively with the Ministry of Legal Affairs, and we have looked at a draft legislation that would govern the work of and the performance of our workers, as well as the responsibilities of the employers. So they're looking at it, and we hope we get some good response, because we thought we needed to look at how we protect our people in the first instance. So it might take a little while to get things done, but this is one of the key things that we're looking at, getting employment for our people. We need to look at packaging our tours. So it might be the same tour. So when we had the Wester Hall, we had the Clark's Court, we had the rivers and whatever there. But when we packaged it as a tour, it meant something different. When we packaged it, the chocolate tours, it takes on a different aspect to somebody going one place and somebody going to the other. And one of the lessons we took is the story. We have to be good storytellers, and we're good at that. Let us use it in a more positive sense. What happened with River Twine rum? Why is it so special? What makes the different ones special? And we talk about all of the different rums that we have, and I think they're all into the package. But they need to have a story. People are past the stage where they just lie on a beach and don't want to hear the story. So even in Grandin's Beach, the end where the fishermen pull the nets, there's a story there, how we live. And the good thing about it is they look at our cultural things. So we don't have to build anything special for them. We just have to package it in such a way and to identify it and build a story around it. So we're hoping we can get more storytellers. This is pretty much, we also talked about the cruise lines are embarking very aggressively on PPPs in different islands. So we broached that with them. What can you do in Grenada? Invest in some kind of attraction that is different to what we have or different to what the other islands have. And we did get some commitment for follow-up talks on that matter. I just want to mention briefly Carraway, and mindful of the time. We spoke to Holland America Group, and they have committed already to having 10 calls to Carraway in 2020 to 2021. So that is just on the other side of this year. There are some things that they're asking for. As a matter of fact, we've beaten the iron while it's hot. They have to send us the scheduling. So while they haven't sent us the schedule yet, we have to ensure that we get a schedule. So tomorrow we go up to Carraway. We need to talk to some of the stakeholders. There are issues that we think we need to raise with them, which I will not raise here. I think we need to raise it directly with the interested parties in Carraway. So tomorrow evening we have a meeting with key stakeholders. We're opening a welcome center in Pitt, Martinique, which they didn't have. And also we're recognizing some of the people, at least we're handing out the awards to the persons whose CTO had. I spoke about it in the last press conference. We're going to be doing that. So the calls that are expected in Carraway are from the Seabourn brand, and that is very high-end. So small numbers, but high-end. But again, they want to mix with the locals. So they'll be dancing to the big drum. We'll teach them how to do that, how to roll the rice. These are the sorts of things that people are looking for. And luckily, we have quite a bit of that. I just want to finally say, Madam Persec, don't get nervous, I'm ending. 2 things. Next week, God's willing, we go to World Travel Market in London, where we'll be meeting with the airlines, British Airways, Virgin. You know, there have been some upheavals here and there. And we want to ensure that we continue with our flights, and there is potential for growth. And we'll be meeting with many tour operators. Again, we'll be marketing, so I hope, well, now it's late to ask for the sample bottles, but if there are a few that you want us to take, we'll take it. And for the next time around, because we're pretty much winding down in terms of trips for the year, but for the next time, I hope our table looks much better. And last week, we had a team of Jamaicans here, the top people in the community development department. They were looking at our product, and they're advising how we can beef up what they do there, because they do a great job. And I just want to mention that our Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, he has always advocated that we should commercialize some of our sites, because somehow either a PPP, a public-private partnership, so that means a private investor with, and when I say investor, I'm not talking necessarily of somebody from outside. I think Grenadians can do that easily, can work with government to do something, but it seems as though the private sector does it better, and all of the sites in Jamaica are commercialized. And maybe that's part of the reason they do so very well and they get exceeding numbers. So we're going to, there's a commitment from the Ministry of Tourism to work with us, and we'll seriously be pursuing some of the ideas that they have, some of the things that have worked with them to make our tourism more resilient, more vibrant, and so on, etc., etc. So I thank you. These are the general pieces I had to mention.
Thank you very much, Minister, for those updates as it relates to our tourism industry. Members of the media, any questions from you? As usual, please identify yourself and your media house.
Morning, Linda Straker, freelance reporter. Minister, you spoke a lot about the tourism, and you ended with the possible commercialization of some sites. As we know, we're in the early days of the 2019-2020 cruise ship season. Can you provide an update as to the amount of tourist attractions or site that has been either refurbished or new sites identified?
Okay, well, just off my head, in the past year, we did expend quite a bit of money in doing the trails at Grandetang, because we have, it has emerged, but a growing demand for more physical activities like trails or things like river rafting and so. And so we've done quite a bit on that. In Mongazo, which is owned by government, that one has been contracted out to a local, a Grenadian person to manage, and I understand when the Jamaicans visited it, they were very, very pleased, and it's something that they're encouraging that we fast track and we move with it. Annandale is close to commercialization, and I say commercialization and not privatization. It means that it will be leased to somebody or an entity that is going to run it, but it belongs to the nation, to the people. I just wanted to clarify that. So that is one that we have not done much work with, because we have a serious proposal that has been accepted. It was subjected to all of the processes for contracting out that commercialization. We did the request for proposals and so on, and we got 2, and we did it again, and we still got the same 2. So we decided to go ahead with it, but they were very good proposals, and one has been selected. We've done some work at Bathway, infrastructural works at Bathway, and certainly about 2 weeks ago it's not infrastructure, but it's an important addition. 2 weeks ago, we handed over an ATV, what is ATV again? It's a vehicle that can go on any terrain. I think that's what it is, any terrain vehicle, all terrain vehicles, that's what it is, for grandans, because we all know the length of the beach. And if something occurs in one end and the police is at the other end, we know that a lot could happen before the police gets there. So the Ministry of Tourism, we saw it fit, working with the private sector, to purchase that vehicle so that the police and the task force that is there can get to a site very quickly. And the other thing that we're hoping to do very, very soon is to also contract out the service for the lifeguards at Grandlands and Bathway as well.
Was anything done to the Graniton Great House?
Oh yes, thank you for reminding. A lot of refurbishment was done, and there is a plan to reorganize the offerings there. And sorry, that visit from the Jamaicans also reinforced that you need to have people activity, not just to stand up and watch Granitang Lake, but bring something to life. We're good with the jab, and we sold the jab, and we sold the shortening. You know, we must sell the shortening too. And, you know, you don't have to wait for Carnival. You could do these things. There's a number of things that you can do that tourists like. I mean, I haven't shared a photo of me in a Chinese outfit, and I probably never will. But I have a photo. When you do your tour, they have the garment. There's a story behind the garment, and you're allowed to put on that garment, put on the hat. They make you up, and they take your photo. And people love that, the photo opportunities. So there are very simple things that we're looking for starting this season, maybe the mid-season, and certainly we're going to explore more for 2020 season.
Good morning, Sherry and Noel, GIS. Minister, I just want to go back just a little clarification on the commercialization of the attraction sites. You mentioned a bit about Annandale, but we do know that that's one of the falls that is frequent by community members and so on. Would there be like a public forum advising them as to what's going to take place and
how it's going to be run?
Them?
Yes,
yeah.
Yes, that is going to be done. What is holding us up is the survey. That is where we are now, getting the amount of property surveyed. And we always include forestry, because recognizing that it's if not fully rainforest, but it's close to that, and our environment has to be maintained. So anybody who gets that, if you have to cut a branch, you must consult with forestry before you do anything. But of course, the public, and that is what I like about Grenada's tourism. Our public, our Grenadians, love the attraction just as much as visitors. And we are going to ensure that that aspect is maintained.
Any further questions for the Tourism Minister before we wrap up?
I have one more. Minister, can you just provide, I think the airport would have celebrated 35 years yesterday. They had an award ceremony. Are you in a position to give an idea as to the amount of passengers that has been received since it was opened, and an update on the expansion project that has to be funded by the Chinese?
My answer to both is no. I can't give you those numbers. I get these numbers, but unfortunately it doesn't stay in my head. But the airport is very good at that. Between airport, the team at the airport, when they look at the projected arrivals, and also they work with immigration. And so our figures are very reliable, and it's easy to get. But off my head, I can't give you that. In general terms, what we're going to do is looking at not a complete runway, but they call it like another finger, so that an airplane can rest there while another plane lands and take off. So it's not a brand new runway, but it is an additional area so that a plane can go. Once in a while, we are very busy. There are times when we have 2 American Airlines coming in, 2 JetBlues, one after the other, and then you have you might have Delta, and you might have, depending on the day, one of the flights from UK. So it can get very busy, and that has hindered us really from negotiating more flights because of that. So that is one of the things. We need to do some resurfacing and some upgrade of the facility in general. But and that is it. But we will be announcing exactly what is going to happen, because the final agreement has not been tied up yet. There's still, we had a team of the contracting firm, which is China Harbor, and we also had a team of arbitrating technical persons, engineers and so on, who are working with both sides to finalize what has to happen and what it's going to cost. So soon that will be announced. And that is more dealt with by Ministry of Works, because of course it's an infrastructural issue. So maybe the minister might be announcing some things very soon.
All right, folks, a couple of things. I am way behind this morning. I never anticipated the sort of response I would be getting from you folks this morning. There have just been so many comments. I am unable to deal with them all, or we would be here for the rest of the day. There's one I'm just going to pull out, though, because I think it makes a point, something that went right to the heart when I read it. It's from Tom Ortega. Tom says, behavioral psychologists will tell you that when someone keeps saying, when they're speaking, it's because they are not being truthful. Listen to the minister. You can clearly hear that she's not convinced about the decision taking. And that's not the only one, folks. There are a lot of comments from you people out there that are profound, which I do appreciate, make an awful lot of sense, and I thank you. But we're running out of time. We're running out of time. So I'll tell you what, allow me to go, I'm not even going to run commercials now. Allow me to go directly to something a little lighter, and this is the discussion which Brian Pitt and I had on Friday. Let's say now, good morning to Mr. Brian Pitt, and how are you, sir?
Good morning, George. I am great. I'm great. I take it the internet is giving you some problems.
For the last couple of days, yes. Yesterday morning and last night was a fiasco with McReChat, and again this morning. But this too shall pass, my friend. So what's up, Mr. P?
I am about to ask you the same question. What's up with you?
Well, I'll tell you. You know, I thought about you. I thought about you a couple of days ago. We were taking a drive up the West Coast a couple of days ago to shoot a sort of television documentary. And I was very, very impressed to see the quantity of debushing. You drive up the West Coast, man, and every couple of feet, people are debushing. Have you been up there recently?
No, I haven't. But I imagine there's a lot of debushing taking place around St. George's too. Rain's falling, George, and the grass is growing, you know, and people are working.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, it looks like they're going to have a little bit of dinero in their pockets for Christmas, and that's good. That's good. You talk about the rain is falling and the bush is growing. Something we noticed, one of the things we were looking for as we drove up the West Coast was the number of abandoned cars and vehicles, you know, derelicts. And the people who took me on this tour were a little bit disappointed because there are areas where people throw a lot of these vehicles over a cliff. But there's so much stuff there now, so much growth, that you cannot see the vehicles anymore. There's one I saw which I thought was really crazy. We were coming down to St. George's via Grand Etang, and just before you get to the Great House, off on your left, somebody actually threw a refrigerator, Brian, a refrigerator, just dumped it over on the side. Can you, even in our rainforest, Brian, we're dumping stuff?
You know, George, this could be a lengthy subject, and I'll tell you why. You see this vehicle thing? And it's going to get worse, because of the amount of vehicles that's coming into Grenada. And some of them are very high-end vehicles that we can't get parts for, or we can't afford the parts for some of these vehicles. Maybe somebody need to think outside the box, George, and create a dive site for derelict vehicles.
Like they did with the Coast Guard cutter?
Like they did with the Coast Guard cutter. And the diving industry is becoming very, very big and important to Grenada, I understand. So we can pick a place in the ocean somewhere and bleed the vehicles of all the oil and stuff and put them in there. And you can dive the site to see vehicles that might be new vehicles now, but 10 or 15 years from now, they might be vintage.
Might be vintage.
So we can have a dive, we can have a dive site for vehicles.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
And I'm being very serious, George. I mean, we have to make use of what we have, because this vehicle problem is not going to go away. It's going to get worse and worse. As a matter of fact, when the last time you passed along the Port Highway?
The Port Highway?
Yes.
Sometime last week, yes, on the way to Grand.
All right, so, okay. Right next to Miss Banfield's shop on the Port Highway, there are 3 huge pieces of equipment there that are used to lift the containers of the boats.
Okay.
Yes? You look for them. There are 3 huge cranes that is used to lift the containers of the ships. We can create another dive site for those.
Yeah.
Because none of them working. Yeah? So maybe we got to think outside the box and see how we can use some of these things that are creating some environmental problems.
Well, since you're involved in the tourism industry, may I take the liberty of asking you to make a suggestion to the Grenada Tourism Authority?
No, George, let's not go there. You're going to open another can of worms. There's nobody listening.
You mentioned the number of vehicles that are coming into the country. Is there any way to curb that? Do you think we could really curb that without any backlash?
Well, the first thing we have to find out, the question we have to ask ourselves, George, is why are people buying vehicles? And until we can answer that question, we might not be able to stop the importation of vehicles into Grenada. I think I said on this program, people might be buying vehicles because it is cheaper for them to buy a vehicle, run it from St. Patrick's or St. Andrews to town to work, than it would be to rent an apartment in town.
Yeah.
So until now, unless we get behind all of this stuff, George, we're going to have these problems.
I have mixed feelings about this because, I don't have a vehicle, and boy, I really, really need a vehicle because there's so much more that I want to do with the programs that I've put out. And if they were to stop these vehicles from coming in, oh my gosh, what would I do? Have to come and beg you for a ride? Thumb a ride from Brian?
But George, even though you have a vehicle right now, you might have difficulty driving on the road, because we have lost our traffic manners. It's kind of hazardous to drive in Grenada right now. You drive, it's a defensive driving. We drive for our car and the vehicle approaching us, or the vehicle passing us. So driving is becoming hazardous because of the number of vehicles on the road, and everybody seems to be in a hurry.
In that sense, I agree with you, Brian, and that's one of the things that makes me happy that I don't have a vehicle. It's not just the volume. I think the traffic situation could be alleviated somewhat, tremendously, if we had a different mindset. It's just the attitude of the drivers. Don't you think that has a lot to do with it?
Yes, it does, George, but we also have to look at the flow of traffic and figure out how we can move vehicles easier. And I take, for example, that piece of road by you. There's no reason why that road should be two-way traffic. Yeah?
Well,
and there are a lot of roads in Grenada like that, George, where you have two-way traffic. It doesn't make sense because we have a lot of the road structure in Grenada is probably the best in the Caribbean.
This gets back to what I was just talking about, attitude, because I understand what you're saying. He's talking about the Woolwich Road here, which goes out to Lucas Street. Brian, do you know that in the morning, I think from 7 o'clock until 9 o'clock, there's a no entry sign that's saying you should not enter Woolwich Road from Lucas Street?
And people still enter.
And I keep saying, if you want to learn cuss words, you come and sit on my balcony here for a few minutes during rush hour, and you'll hear. Yeah. Because it's just the mindset, you know? So.
Well, you know.
All right.
George, did I hear recently that we are amending the CBI Act, the act that controls the Citizenship by Investment Program?
Yeah.
So that we can move some money from the transformational fund to the consolidated fund?
No, I did not hear that. So tell us about it.
Well, I believe I heard something to the effect that a few $1 million will be moved from the transformational fund, which is the fund that controls the CBI money, to the consolidated fund. You know, and when I heard that, I wondered, so isn't the CBI program revenue for the government of Grenada, and why is it not going to the consolidated fund?
Good question. Yeah, makes you wonder.
You know, and George, when these things come up and these questions come to my mind, I wonder where are the social partners and the opposition party, the NDC, should be asking some of these questions. You know, what happens to the money when people invest in our passports? Is it held in a separate account? And who accounts for it? Or should it be going to the consolidated fund so that the general public and Grenada as a whole can benefit from this program?
Keep asking.
I stand corrected on that one.
Keep asking questions, sir.
I stand corrected on that. The other thing that came to my mind recently, George, is this takeover of Republic Bank by Scotiabank.
Effective today.
I think today is an effective date, yes. But what I am not hearing, George, is the complaint that people have been having for the last few years about increasing prices of doing banking business, whether it's fees and or charges. Nobody is talking about that. However, we are creating little monopolies in the banking sector. So I believe that if you have less competition, you will have more unrestricted increases in prices and charges and fees. Yes, George?
Brian, I'm not sure how fair it is to say that people have been speaking out, not been speaking out about this, because I thought there was a bit of an outcry about the banking fees. I mean, some of the fees are not only ridiculous, but they're shocking, you know? And it continues, and I have not heard the banks come out and respond at all. And by the way, go ahead, sorry.
One of the problems that we have in the world today, George, with all these protests that is going on, is that people feel frustrated that nobody is listening to their cry.
Yeah.
For whatever the purpose. Whether it's increases in taxes, increases in whatever. People are not listening to us, George. And that is frightening, you know. When we get fed up of those people that we have put in charge not listening to our cry, what's going to happen?
People are eventually going to snap, Brian. That's the scary part, sir. They're going to snap. I just want to mention something else about this takeover of the bank. You know, yesterday I went down to Scotiabank to make a payment, to do a transaction there. And when I walked in at 11:45, when I walked up to the bank, the door was locked. What are you laughing at? You ran into that too?
When I saw the notice, George, I stayed away. There was a notice on the door that said...
that's the point I'm about to make. That's when I discovered the notice. It says closed from 12 noon today. Brian, these people have your email addresses. They've got your street addresses. Brian, they got phones. For God's sakes, don't wait until I get down there to discover that you're closed.
They don't care about us, George. Because there was an easy way to communicate with all their customers. Yeah? To let them know what was happening. Yeah? So if you are reducing the number of banks that service the Grenadians, what's going to happen in the future? And I am one of those people that firmly believes, George, this $125 million that the public paid for Scotiabank, I don't know, that figure seems awful low to me.
Yeah.
There must be some other reason why Scotiabank is getting out of this region, other than we want to get rid of some assets.
Yeah, yeah. Well, since the sale was approved by the ECCB, I guess they did their due diligence and everything's on the up and up. That's only an assumption on my part.
You want to hear a joke, George? Have you spoken to the man on the street about the new currency? And what? Somebody came into my place this week and said, but you know, Mr. Pitt, this new currency ain't no good. You can't fold it and what have you. So they seem to prefer the old currency than the new ones. You know? The new ones are 21st century currency, but apparently the average person can't handle it as easily as they did the old currency.
Crumble it up.
Yes, it is kind of stiff.
But it kind of stiff, yes. But I'll be honest with you, I really like the feel of it. I like the look of it. I like the feel.
Oh yeah, it feels good. It looks good, you know. But some people are complaining about it. And that was an ECCB decision. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah.
So ECCB can make some bad decisions sometimes. I don't know if Antigua is still holding ground on their position. But you know they have decided not to ratify this sale.
They're not using that?
They have decided not to ratify the sale of Scotiabank in Antigua. I don't know if that is still their position.
Yeah, but
I know they were holding up. Yes.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Pitt. Before we go, I can't let you get away without making a comment on this. You know that the NDC convention comes up on Sunday.
Yes, and I am looking forward to the NIS making a presentation at the NDC convention. That's how you were going, George.
Yeah. That
no,
one.
I mean,
that one was a boo-boo.
Yeah.
That one was a boo-boo.
Well, no. I believe that the NDC should not leave any stone unturned to invite the NIS to make a presentation at their convention.
Okay.
Let's see if it happens.
Again, I ask you, don't hold your breath.
No, I'm not going to hold my breath.
No, a lot of people...
Breathing is...
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. A lot of people. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was saying a lot of people are going to be looking at this one. By the way, I found a convention last weekend by the NNP to be very low-keyed. The only big thing I heard the day after the convention was that we now have a new Minister of Information. And your dear friend, Mr. Garraway, has been relegated to just disaster management. You know, the way the press release was written, it leaves one with the impression that the other portfolios which he held have all been taken away, and he's just Minister of Disaster Management. And I was wondering if that was done deliberately. And if it was, I sympathize with those of us who are depending on the agency or disaster management in this country to be properly managed.
it would seem by that move, George, that we might be moving to an early election, you know.
Hello?
Because we now have to look good in the public domain. We can't afford some of these people that causing us some embarrassment.
Yeah.
So we're going to see some more movement, George, to make sure that that we have a good presence in the community.
Okay. Okay. I hope you're right. I hope you're right. Now, getting back to the actual convention, tell me something, Brian. If you had a couple of minutes to speak to the National Democratic Congress, they got some big challenges ahead of them. I wouldn't want to be in any government who replaces the current government. You got a mess in there to clean up. I mean, despite the fact that they're telling you how wonderful things are, I believe that these guys have created a mess in there. What would you say to the NDC?
George, the first thing you have to do is win an election, huh?
And that's
and
not a given.
If you say, no, it's not a given. If you say that there's a mess in governance in Grenada right now, then you need to point out what those problems are. You got to clearly articulate what those problems are and tell us how you're going to deal with those problems. For example, we just talked about it. What happens to the money in the transformational fund? How is it spent? And until you can get answers to those questions, it makes no sense standing up on the corner of the road and talk about corruption. You have to point out what the corruptions are and what you're going to do, George, to correct the situation. Yes? If the allocation of contracts is a problem, then what are you going to do to make sure that contracts are awarded to the best price on the table and not to somebody's cousin or aunt or nephew? Yes? So you got to tell me what you're going to do, George, to correct the situation as it exists right now, because, as you said, it's a mess.
Essentially, I hear you calling for transparency.
Yes, yes, and tell us how you're going to get, how you're going to be a more transparent government. You know, I am not hearing. I'm hearing that I want to win the next election, but I'm not hearing what I'm going to do when I get there. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, but you know, I'm just waiting for my turn to get into office.
Brian, I'm glad you went in that direction, because I'm sure that you're aware of a publication the NDC puts out on a weekly basis. I think it's called the NDC Heartbeat. Did you see the one they put out this week?
No, I haven't.
Okay, it's up on the website. Brian, it is a change in direction that really, really caught my attention. Rather than the NDC doing like they have been doing for God knows how long, pointing fingers at the government and saying, you know, this is what's wrong and this is what's wrong, they came up with a long list of their accomplishments. And it made me sit up and say, hey, so these guys have actually done some stuff.
And they have only been in power, they have only run government for 2 terms. Huh?
Exactly.
The NNP has been in charge of Grenada for over 20 years, you know, or maybe more. So I think when you carefully examine what has happened in Grenada for the last 30 or 40 years, a lot of that responsibility is that of the NNP, because they have been in power the longest. Yeah. So yes, that is a good direction to go in. You articulate what you've done over that period of time, but you also have to point out what is wrong and what you're going to do to correct what is wrong. And you have to find a way to communicate that, George. I don't know that a lot of people want to read this long dissertation that you're talking about. How do you communicate this information?
Yeah. And
I think that will be key as these people prepare for what I believe is going to be an early election.
An early election?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Prophet. We'll keep an eye.
Let me leave on a pleasant note, George. Have you into music?
A little bit.
Are you into music? A little bit, okay. There's an artist called Randy Crawford. Make a note, Randy Crawford.
Crawford?
Randy Crawford. Randy Crawford.
Yeah.
Randy Crawford. And she did a selection around 1991 called Trade Winds.
Okay.
I believe that was also done by Sammy Davis Jr. When you have a chance, George, listen to that and tell me if it does not reflect what is happening to our young people in today's Grenada.
All right. Sometime today, when I'm through running my errands, I'll go try and pull that up. Google that and listen.
Randy Crawford, Trade Winds. And on that note, George,
the name Randy Crawford, by the way, I do know. I have enjoyed her music. There's another track that she did many years ago, which was just so impressive. Anyway, okay, Mr. B, thank you very much, sir. Are you going to the convention?
No, George.
Are you?
Am I going to represent you, and are you on?
You know,
I imagine you got a media pass, did you?
No, no. I got an invitation, but earlier on this week I explained to my viewers, you know, I've been back here 30-something years, 33, 34 years. I've only ever been to one convention. I got back here in '86, so it was the convention right after that, either '87 or '88. The only convention, political convention. I stay away from them.
Yeah, these things are too polarized, George.
Yeah.
They're too polarized.
Okay, Mr. Pitt. Thanks for the pit
Have a
stop.
great weekend. Take care.
Okay. There he goes, my dear friends, Mr. Brian Pitt. Ooh, okay. Running. It's 19 minutes away from the hour. Pilgrims, again, incredible comments, meaningful comments, and I thank you all so much for making those comments. In the interest of time, we're going to move on to our next piece. From here on, we're going to go inspirational. I'm not going to be able to play everything that I wanted to play, but there are a couple of pieces that I really want you to see because I find these two pieces very inspiring. You know, when you stop and think about a lot of the challenges we face in life, it's good to know that there's a way out. And there's a gentleman by the name of Steve Harvey, whom I'm sure that many of you are very acutely aware of. Steve is a comedian, talk show host, and he did a piece recently, which I want you to take a look at and take to heart what he says. Please.
My mother was a Sunday school teacher for 40 years when she was living. She used to always tell me, she said, God blesses you to become a blessing. I didn't get it back then because I ain't had nothing. So he blessed me, Mama, we ain't got nothing. She said, but one day, son, you're going to be different. I'm standing here today because I learned something. I just try to tell people some real basic stuff to succeed. You do not have to be educated to succeed. So you can quit beating yourself up about your lack of education. Education ain't in the Bible. Harvard ain't in there. UCLA ain't in there. Now, if you want to be a doctor, lawyer, scientist, dentist, you got to go to school. We understand that. Maybe if you're gifted with your hands of healing, you do that. But what about if you like me? What if you like you? What if you ain't a school person? What you gonna do? Suppose you got a learning disability. Suppose you dyslexic. Suppose you just don't get your You know, I just didn't get math. Once you got past adding, subtraction, multiplication, and division, you lose me. I don't know. I only know what I know. I learned to identify this gift of mine, and this gift has made room for me. Now, I've told you that, but here is the other thing. Once you identify your gift, you have got to write this information down. If you do not have a vision board, if you don't have a dream list, I am telling you, you are complicating your process to getting what you want in life. You're complicating it because you are missing, because maybe nobody ever told you, or maybe you don't think that it applies to you, but a simple principle of success is that it has to be written down somewhere. Oprah was on TV for 30 years talking about these vision boards. Oprah, she got $1 billion. She has my attention. Now, like I said earlier, you don't got to be rich to be happy. Maybe your goal is not to make $1 million. That's cool. But maybe you just need 150,000. Maybe you just need 200,000. I'm telling you, you have to write this information down. I don't care what church you go to, synagogue, temple, mosque. If you don't write it down, chances of it happening is slim. Could that be the one thing that's holding you back? If I'm telling you this, a dude with no education, I can't read a business periodical. My head will explode. I don't even know what they're talking about. It's not what I do. Too many times, people have you focusing on your weaknesses. You're wasting your time. You ain't got to strengthen that. Work on what you good at. If you focus on what you good at, you'll make enough money. You hire somebody to be what you ain't. I got all kind of people read numbers and contracts and all that because I can't do it. But I hire them. Listen, man, you've got to write this information down. Let me tell you what the reason writing it down is important. Because it plants the information in your subconscious. That means write exactly what you want. Don't deviate. Be clear. If you want 4 cars, there's nothing wrong with wanting 4 cars. If you want 3 houses, you can have 3 houses. Why not? Why? Why you can't have, why you just can't get a home? What kind of God you serve where he won't give you a house? It's just a house. Somebody asked me the other day, they saw my vision board, they said, man, where your dream car at? They in the driveway. They've been marked off the vision board a long time ago. The vision boards work. I'm not bragging, I'm telling you how this works. You don't think I got all these TV shows, I ain't making no money now. I'm out here hustling and grinding, but I'm willing to work. You gotta write everything you want down. Now, if you want, like I said, you can go to school, try to get you another degree. I don't have one. I'm telling you what I did to get here. I learned a few scriptures that made some good sense to me. You have not because you ask not. So you mean to tell me if I just keep asking you for it and believing in it, that's one way to get it? Okay, cool. Then you tell me faith without works is dead. You tell me if I believe in you and I'm willing to work, I should have it. But I can't believe in it and don't work and I won't get it. Okay, I understand that one. And then you tell me to write the vision and make it plain. I can do this. These are things you can do today that ain't got nothing to, you don't need nobody's permission to succeed. To get to God, you ain't got to check with nobody. He available to you today. You ain't got to get cleared. His line ain't busy. You can talk to him right now. I do it all the time. That's how I got here. I'm telling you how you can get to where you're trying to go. Now, you can go get your another education if you want to. I did it without an education. I did it without nobody's money. All I did was identify this gift. I worked. I wrote all of my visions down. I read them every morning and every night. I instilled them in my head. And every time I met somebody, they say, hey, man, what you trying to do? I would tell them one of my visions. Somebody would always say to me, you know, I know a guy that's selling them things right there. You ought to talk to him. I started scratching stuff off my vision board. My vision board is so vast now. If I showed you what was on it, you wouldn't even believe it. Because I dream so big. I want so big because the God I serve is big. He's not a small God. He's a really, really big God. He does really, really big stuff. And I expect him to do really, really big stuff for me. If somebody who had come from the bottom and got to this position I'm in told me that this is the way I would try it, if I was you, I would try that. I bet you it'll work, though. Appreciate y'all.
All right. I really thought it was important that I share that with you this morning, but that's only one. There's another one. This one's closer to home. This man you're about to watch was born in Trinidad. He's become one of the most widely acclaimed gospel singers in the world. And he tells a story about Oprah Winfrey, which I think is really gonna go to your heart. My dear friends, check this out.
Well, my name is Wintley Phipps, and my mother gave me that name in 1955. I tell people she must have been very astute because she gave me the most Google-friendly name. You put my name in Google and nobody else comes up. But I was born in San Fernando, at San Fernando General Hospital, and grew up in Pitt. I went to Baratow, EC. I was born to a little troubled home, and so I used to get away from my parents' troubles. I had a little red tricycle, and I'd go in the backyard of my house, turn the tricycle on its side, and use one of the back side wheels as a steering wheel. And I would sit there for hours, and I would dream that I was flying to faraway places in the world and meeting important people when I was 5 and 6, 7 years old. I had a blessing. I had an opportunity when I was about 7 or 8 years old to sing a solo on Antique, which was a long time ago, but I remember the feeling that I had hearing my voice coming over the radio in Trinidad as a little boy. It was a flash of a sense of destiny. I just held it in my heart, but I really didn't know what it would portend or what it would mean. At the age of 10, we moved to Montreal, Canada. That's where I grew up. My father used to take us to the airport to say goodbye to people who were going back to Trinidad, and I'd look around, walking around the airport, I'd look around to see if anybody was looking, and I'd grab a handful of the luggage tags, and I would stuff them in my pocket and go home and get a pencil and print my name, Wintley Phipps, Flight 393 London, Flight 676 Paris, just dreaming. And at the age of 16, 15 years old or so, my voice changed, and I had this voice that the basso, bass baritone sound coming out of my throat since I was 15 years old. And at the age of 16, I dedicated my life to God, and I dedicated this voice to be used only to uplift and inspire people. And it has been an amazing ride for this little boy from Trinidad. There's nowhere in the world that I could have ever wanted to go that I haven't gone, and every continent of the world many times over. I was actually in the crowd that welcomed Nelson Mandela when he came out of prison. I was the only soloist at Diana Ross's wedding in Switzerland. I've got about 26 recorded albums and a couple of Grammy nominations, and done duets with people like Patti LaBelle, and I've just had an amazing experience. I've been blessed to sing for the last 6 presidents of the United States of America, and sang at the last 2 inaugurations of President Barack Obama. But Trinidad is where I'm from. Trinidad is my foundation. Trinidad is my roots. I don't know where this voice came from, whether it was too much dasheen or too much mangoes or whatever the case may be, but it's a unique gift from God. If you go to YouTube and put in my name, Wintley Phipps, and put in Amazing Grace, you'll get a chance to see a little bit of this unusual gift that God has given to me. I'm back in Trinidad this weekend to do a concert at the Hyatt Regency Hotel downtown in Port of Spain. It's at 8 o'clock Saturday night, and we're inviting as many people who can come to make sure you purchase your tickets. They'll be able to give you information as to exactly where to go or how to get and obtain your ticket to come. It's going to be filled with some other wonderful artists. But the most important thing is, if you're searching for a sense of that vision, that dream, that can-do spirit that God has placed in you, you want to catch a glimpse of what God's been dreaming for your life, it will be a great investment of your time and resources to come on out 8 o'clock Saturday night at the Hyatt Regency and first of all bask in this beautiful sense of God's presence, which I know you will sense. It'll be convicting, it'll be comforting, it'll be strengthening, and I believe that God's going to give you a glimpse of what He has been dreaming for you. And I can tell you, that changes your life completely. When you catch a glimpse of the dream that God has been dreaming for you, it changes everything. About 35 years ago, I was singing in Baltimore, Maryland. I came down off the platform. A young lady was standing there. She tapped me on the shoulder, said, "Excuse me, sir, I just heard you sing, and I feel like I can talk to you. Do you have time to talk to me?" I said, "Sure." So she came by our home. We talked together, encouraged her. I'm a person of faith, so we prayed together. And after praying with her, I looked at her and I said, "You know, before you go, I don't know why, but God has impressed me to tell you He's going to bless you and give you an opportunity to speak to millions of people." She said, "No, you think God would do that for me?" And it was Oprah Winfrey. And that's how we met all those years ago. And I have been honored and blessed to have her friendship for all of those years. All because I learned a lesson early, and that is you treat all people with respect when you don't know who they are, where they're going, or what they can do for you one day. The scriptures say you entertain angels and aren't even aware of it. And so it has been my honor to really be a very important influence in her life, as she attests to. If you just Google it and go on YouTube, you'll hear what she has to say. Yes, we continue to have a personal relationship. As a matter of fact, I told her that I was coming to Trinidad, and she said, have a lot of fun. So I'm trying to do that while I'm working. And she's just a really wonderful, wonderful friend who has been a great supporter of my ministry. One of the ministries that I started in America is called the U.S. Dream Academy. We provide tutoring and mentoring after school to children whose parents are in prison in America. Because what we found was that children whose family members and whose parents are involved in the criminal justice system are most likely to follow those parents into the criminal justice system. In other words, about 60 to 70% of all children in America who end up in prison come from the children of those who are in prison now. And so we began a work almost 20 years ago where we provide tutoring and mentoring after school for children whose parents are incarcerated and children falling behind in school. And fast forward, little did I know that young lady that I met over 35 years ago, who was only making $25,000 US a year at her job, that I was able to encourage, would become the richest black woman on planet Earth. And so just when I needed resources to help start and run and this work that I do for children and prisoners, that she would be the greatest supporter that I had. For example, we have a fundraising dinner every year in America, where in Washington, D.C. actually, where we raise about $1 million a year at the dinner. 2008 was a pretty tough fundraising year. The economy collapsed, you may remember, and a lot of charities were struggling. Well, at the dinner that year, because we needed it, I set the goal to reach at 1.3 million. And 7 days before the dinner, I was sitting at about 800,000 that I'd raised from individuals and corporations, but I needed a $500,000 miracle to get to this goal. So I'm praying. 2 days later, I got a call from Oprah Winfrey's assistant saying, "Miss Winfrey, just boarded her jet to go to see her school in South Africa. And I was blessed to speak and sing at the opening of her school in South Africa. And she said, the lady said, Miss Winfrey left a FedEx package for you. Where should I send it? I said, well, send it to the corporate office. She said, well, there's a special way she wants you to open it. I said, well, then send it to my home. I got home, my wife handed me this beautifully wrapped box, and when I opened it up, there was a handwritten note from her, thanking me for my ministry in her life, for my prophetic words of wisdom, for my kindness. She was so generous in her words. But I saw an envelope, and when I opened the envelope, she had put in a check for $1.2 million US. And behind that envelope, I saw another envelope dated January 1, 2009, and I opened it, and it had another check for $1.2 million. And behind that envelope, I saw another envelope, and I opened it up. It had another check for $1.3 million. So she sent almost $4 million in 3 envelopes. And then she called me from South Africa. Did you get it? I said, oh, thank you so much. And then she emailed me, and she said, you know, I love giving, and I love making it fun. She said, I considered sending you a FedEx envelope 3 days in succession. So Monday you would get the first check, Tuesday the second check, Wednesday the third. She said, but I figured by the 4th day, you would be chasing the FedEx man down. And that's why I sent them all together. But again, it has been an amazing ride for this little boy who, growing up in the bush with a tricycle on his side, dreaming that one day he may be able to travel the world, meet important people, and to see that dream realized in my life. And I want to encourage other young people on this island that the God that we love is the ultimate dreamer. And when he dreams, planets are born. When he dreams, stars twinkle in the sky. And when he dreams, he also dreams about every one of you, every one of these children. And the most amazing thing I have found in my life is to catch a glimpse of the dream that God has been dreaming for you. So come on out on Saturday night at the Hyatt Regency Hotel at 8 o'clock, and I am sure that you will be not only inspired and motivated, but you will connect with the dream that God's been dreaming for you. It can be done.
Boy, I sure hope that you were moved by what you just saw and heard. Do you know who inspired me to play these 2 pieces this morning? God did. Because I do know that there are persons out there who needed to hear those messages. Now, somebody asked a little while ago, while you were listening to Wintley Phipps, somebody asked if I would post the Steve Harvey piece on my website. Take a look. It's up there now on Grenada Broadcast. You can check it out. Folks, okay. No argument. I've gone over time. I'm sorry. Am I really? No. It was worth it. It was worth it. And we're not going to let you walk away from this platform today without a chuckle. In fact, a laugh. A laugh. Pilgrims, what you know?
Trinidad and Tobago, it's your boy Daniel, and we are out here in the streets of Port of Spain here today, and we come out to ask you the simple question that we ask around Trinidad and Tobago: what you know. We just want to know what you know. If you know anything, you know, you may know, I may not know, but we just want to know what you know. Let me go. Can you spell the word Christmas for me?
P-R-S-T-L.
What animal does pork come from?
Cow.
Can you spell the word reindeer for me?
Reindeer. R-A-I-N-D-I-A-R-E.
If E-A-R spells air, then what does Y-E-A-R spell?
Yeah, I have no clue.
How many 10-cent pieces are there in $1?
1,000.
Sorry. One more time. How many 10-cent pieces are there in $1?
100.
No.
If E-A-R spells air, then what does Y-E-A-R spell?
Y-E-A-R spell? Yes. Ask people for help for the Christmas coming for this year, 2017.
Good.
What the hell did you just say?
What does the first T in TNT stand for?
The first T? Oh God, me no know. But I'm trying to remember. But hey, T for T. I know about cocoa tea.
Okay, so turn this way. We're in Trinidad and Tobago right now. So what does the first T in TNT stand for?
Yeah, T for tea. Tea for tea. Tea in the morning.
Okay.
Tea in the evening.
How many 10-cent pieces are there in $1?
How many?
10-cent pieces are there in $1?
In $1.
Charting, but I believe in you. Santa believes in you, brother. How many 10-cent pieces are there in $1?
8.
Where's your iris located?
Iris. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Spell the word parang for me.
P-A-R-A-N-G-A.
One more time. Spell the word parang for me.
P-A-R-G-A-N.
What animal does pork come from?
Ham, I don't know.
How many 10-cent pieces are there in $1?
10.
You smart. You very smart.
What holiday comes the day right after Christmas Day?
Christmas Eve.
Christmas?
Christmas Eve.
Where is your ovaries located?
That beautiful lady there, she got some nice ovaries there.
What is the plural of the word tooth?
Tooth. There is no plural.
What is the largest roundabout in the world?
The largest roundabout. That lovely lady bottom.
What the hell was that? What was that?
If E-A-R spells air, then what does Y-E-A-R spell?
Yay.
No, God! No, God, please, no!
Spell the word parang for me.
P-A-R-A-N-G.
Give me a high five. Say this, I said boss.
Man's not hot.
The girl told me, take off your jacket. I said, babe.
Man's not hot.
Yo, man can never be hot.
I give him bread and ham together with a
pasta, gin, a beer,
Ellen, go home. What do you think about what the Minister of National Security is doing about the crime situation within Trinidad and Tobago right now?
I mean, there's always room for improvement, better could be done. Yeah?
And who is the Minister of National Security?
That I do not know.
But it's Christmas time, so baby girl, I want you to spell the word Christmas for me.
C-H-R-I-S-T-M-A-S.
Where is your uterus located? Take your hand and point for me. Where is your uterus located?
My uterus is right in Trinidad and Tobago. And my uterus current is right here in Trinidad and Tobago because Trinidad and Tobago is a loving place And is there no better place better than Trinidad and Tobago right now?
I see a man completely out of control. Completely out of control, Mr. Speaker. That is what I see.
If EAR spells air, then what does YEAR spell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Happy New Year.
Yeah. What is the past tense of the word shoot?
The past tense word shoot means that if you shoot, it's because you're going to get yourself in trouble, because it didn't have the right for you to be shooting at nobody because you give nobody life. So you have the right to be shooting at nobody.
What is the largest roundabout in the world?
The world. The world is a roundabout, is a circle, so the world.
What is the past tense of the word shoot?
Shoot? Well, I don't know. Well, I know that if I want to shoot, I will shoot. But other than that, shoot.
Where you from?
From Port of Spain.
How about the taxi standers?
Belmont.
Okay, check them there. Later.
Federation done dead, and Clarice got going to bed. But the cult of the Rastafarian spreading through the Caribbean. You have Rastas now in Grenada, you have Rastas now in St. Lucia. But to run the Caribbean, yes, you get it pressure. If the Rastafari movement crying, and Clarice was dying low, then it's something that Rastas do that them politicians don't know. That is one race from the same place that make the same trip on the same ship. So they pushing one common intention, it's for a better life in the region for the woman and their children. That must be the ambition of the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man.
You give me something I need, you give me something I bleed, you give me something I crave, oh, I really need you too. I really wanna feel great now, so let me have my way now. No one ever gonna leave, cause I'm so invested in you. Cause I really feel a vibe every time you set the right down. And nobody like this, man, the kind of thing like this, and the kind of thing like you. Nothing and nobody like you. And every single time we touch, no one ever wanna stop, because I always wanna let you know that I love you so much, and nobody like you. Nothing and nobody like you. So, make me ball out. Long time is over you. Long time is over you. Make me ball out. Long time is over you. Long time is over you. Because you're special to me. Special to me. Very special. Very special. Whoa, whoa.
Hello. All right, folks, that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for joining me for today's edition of Sundays with George Grant. Before we go, a parting word from the Holy Scriptures. Today, it comes to you from the book of Job. Job chapter 5, verses 15, 16, and 17. He saves the needy from the sword in their mouth. He saves them from the clutches of the powerful. So the poor have hope, and injustice shuts its mouth. Blessed is the one whom God corrects. So do not despise the discipline of the Almighty. Job chapter 5, 15 to 17. Pilgrims, it's been a slice. Thank you for the entertainment. I really, really enjoyed having you guys here today. By the way, somebody asked a little while ago that I also post the piece from Wintley Phipps. That's up on the website now as well. So I posted them both. Your wish is my command. Friends, may God bless you. He loves you. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9.